narrow, keeping out of sight, where we all grow into new flow. Sunset spilling down, light leaks on pavement, shadows blacking out, punk rock and pagan, dancing like a kid, stepping on the sky, heart like eyes are red. I am your man. Black holes in your eyes, hiding for nothing. Symbols in the skies, something is coming. Can't come prop you up. Dead man on the dance floor, pulsing through your blood. Get ready for the new goal. Dancing like a kid, stepping on the sky. Heart like gasoline. Dancing like a dream, stepping on the sky, heart like eyes are red. Dancing like a dream, stepping on the sky, heart like eyes are red.
gonna stop right there? You think that's the end of the line? You think we're done? Did we put the locks on the arena? Champions Club. We're just getting started. The name is Doctor. Disrespect.
Margaret awoke, startled, a cold sweat clinging to her. She gathered her thoughts. Aged wood creaked, echoing through the quiet rooms. Near the house stood a shrine to Rhea Dana, goddess and daughter of the land, of Rhea and a being of comfort. Margaret sought answers. But the goddess did not speak. There was only the faint whisper of something dark, something hungry. The old seer's bones felt the weight of their age as she climbed. The only thought on her mind, has it begun again? John's mission would be a simple one. He was to investigate Rhea's greatest shrine. His mother presented him with a fresh divinity shard. From his brother came a newly sharpened sword. His wife gave him a kiss, and his daughter's hugs were full of reason to return home safe. Rhea, a land long forgotten, a place of unimaginable beauty. It first appeared as sludge given life, slithering creatures, small and vile.
A boat that would be a little unstable with you on it. It's not like he's... That thing's already rocking in those waves. I know, man. I'm just looking at it.
I mean, I can fit on that. It's gotta. Is it a... Anyone know what kind of boat he has, actually? It looks like, I think he's got like 2 engines and shit.
Impeding further progress. A battle.
Looks like looks like one of those smaller fisherman boats that are nice, you know? Like they like.
I will say it looks like a boat strictly for fishing. It's not like going out, you know, having a whole family day on it. It looks like you have 2 to 3 people that really enjoy fishing, and they could probably fit on it. Well, I think if we start getting like 4 or 5 people on there, it'll be a little tight.
Something popped up on my feed. I started watching a video, but it was the manufacturer of a boat that they manufacture boats for like U.S. Coast Guard and. Anyways, they're talking about their newest model for the boats that are used to catch like drug traffickers. And this boat was, I mean, it had 4 engines. Oh God, this thing was rolling. It was sick looking.
I saw some boat the other day, bro, that I swear to God,
by light itself, the corruption abated,
almost in the water.
leaving the shard cold
kind of like a submarine.
Dark,
and it's like
in need of life.
The top was covered, and it was all black. I've never seen a boat like it. I almost took a photo like I'm a dad. Like I'm like, dude, like that thing is sick. But it was like, it was almost submarine-esque, like really sleek, and it had a whole top on, and you could see people walking around on the inside.
Can I guess what the name of the title of that video was?
What?
Saudi Arabian Princess Boat.
No, I saw it in real life.
Dude,
okay. It was like going by me in Florida. I was like, what the fuck? Honest to God, it almost looked like a racing boat. Like, it almost looked like it was built to race or something. I don't know.
The shard grew warm, humming softly from the harnessed energy. The shard grew warm.
That's called a cigarette boat, Timmy. Let's wake up.
Energy.
I don't think that's the name of that, Doc.
Offshore racing boat. Full auto.
Before him was now one more dangerous than those that came before.
If I had a ballpark, it kind of, dude, have you seen Conor McGregor's Lambo boat?
Yeah.
Slightly resembled.
Gotcha.
It was a Lambo.
Gotcha.
Doc, remember how I said I saw that Lambo contact thing? The old school Lambo? Remember that?
Uh-huh.
Dude, I saw the driver and I saw it. This is my first game of the day. First game of the day. This guy. I'm probably dead, Doc. I'm gonna keep you updated. First game of the day.
Where's he at? That guy?
This guy. He's playing. He's probably tunneling. Do you want to try?
Yeah.
We can just go.
No, let's go get this guy.
Fuck him.
Hey, he's all alone. Oh, behind us? Behind us? Already has the AR in the tunnel? Jesus. Yeah. This dude had it.
9917. That's just not the. He already has a PPSH too. Wow.
He was already in the tunnel.
Fully loaded, fully looted. Well, I was distracted. Okay, dude, I saw the driver. I went up and talked to him. It's a body kit on top of like a Pontiac.
Oh, dude, I always talk about it, man. You got to watch out for those Pontiac Firos body kits, man.
I've never seen it before. And when I actually, so like quick glance, it just looked like it, right? And I was like, oh, dude, that's one of those old school Lambos. And then I went up and talked to him about it, and he goes, go take a closer look. And I walked around, and I was like, it's a fucking Pontiac, dude.
I can't believe that you couldn't recognize that.
Dude, to be fair, I drove by and saw it from a distance, and it's just the kit. It's the outside. I didn't really look at like interior or anything like that.
You don't even need to look at the interior.
A land
I mean,
of
those
love
kids,
found,
they're so obvious. You must not be a car guy, huh?
All right, dude.
Before him was sacred ground,
Is this guy?
left untouched.
I don't know if this is
in
a single
days
shot
gone
or
by.
a burst. A burst. Gotta remember that.
Remaining calm and collected, the shock of his heart's
Did you see the Ford Bronco I got?
concealed in expert fashion.
Now pretty clean.
I did. Looks
Before
good.
him stood Linda,
I love it, man.
his
It's really-
eldest daughter, with bow and quiver at the ready. determined
Got
to
any
do
new
her
cars,
part.
Doc? On the pipeline?
No. I mean, I'm good with the 5 and 6 Lamborghinis right now. They're just sitting there.
Did you
Battery
ever get
charge.
yours?
A what?
Yours?
No.
Get yours?
No.
Guess what Alexis wants, bro?
A Tesla.
Tesla Model X plate.
Yeah. I just ordered
I'm
one.
like, did you really?
Let's not talk about it on stream, okay, Timmy? I give these Tesla drivers such a hard time every single time.
My dude, I was just talking to her, like, honey, why do you need to go 0 to 60 in 2.5? Like, she doesn't, you know? And she just basically goes, I just wanted it to be faster than your Hellcat. And I was like, I'm gonna be honest. You can just get the base model, and I think you got me. Like, in my truck, I mean. Yeah, plaid played. Shut the fuck up, chat. You guys know everything. You know all. I'm an idiot. Shut up. Yeah, you guys have never missaid anything in your life, right? Never misspoke, please.
It is plaid, right?
It is plaid. I said played first. I'm fucking. I can't see it, Doc. This kid's in the.
Where's this guy?
fucking
Where's
woods.
this guy?
He's in the woods, and I can't see him. I don't know.
I mean, just mark a general area.
General area. Literally in a bush. I'm gonna ego him. Yeah, get fucking shit on, bitch. You know who I am?
Timmy, the Tornado Timid Tenders.
Yeah, who? Pay someone to come up with that? You think of that yourself?
I mean, when I'm typing out these tweets, I don't know what I'm gonna say.
Before the Guardians were not beasts feeding, but monsters consuming, destroying others. They corrupted,
What is this area?
distorted,
This is
creating
like
even
those new
more
bunkers that we're at,
hungry
and I just need some
husks.
like plates and shit, so I just came down here. It goes pretty deep. Like a lot of shit usually. You need plates, you good?
Should be good. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. You got the meta class?
NC, bro, it's disgusting.
The what? And then what are you rocking? I'm rocking?
Watch yourself. Watch you know, Doc, I have you pulled up. And when I saw you, I can ask Chad, I called it the triple burst SMG.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man.
Both
You can check
father
my
and
bot, I
daughter
literally
gathered
go,
their
before you
thoughts,
even get in the
their
phone,
hearts heavier than
he's gonna
before.
use that thing.
How
No,
would
it's
they
triple burst.
explain what they had witnessed?
And literally textbook exactly what happened.
Were you impressed by the composure, though?
Dude.
Like, I
You
kept
know,
it together?
Not for nothing. That was like, I
The
said this in my
ancient
chat. I said, I think
tree
it's the
had
best
been
solo game
cut
I've seen.
down. Together,
I'm ta-
father and
no,
daughter
okay, let's
described the horror.
let's knock that off, Timmy.
Creatures
Right.
riddled
I've
with
seen.
decay that
Okay.
slithered into bodies
I- you know,
stuck
that I've actually
between life
witnessed.
and
But I'm
death
talking
to
composure in
bolster
terms
their
of
ranks.
the attitude. You know, the
Grandma
positivity.
Margaret confirmed what they all
Yeah, you
feared.
weren't as angry as I
It
thought you
was
were
the
going to be.
corruption.
You definitely
A
lost it.
cruel
Last guy to
entity
aim assist.
spoken
Crazy.
of only with
Two people in
hushed
front of me. I'm gonna
voices.
fuck up, Doc.
An ocean of darkness that flowed from the top of Mount Morta.
One's broke.
Yeah, I got your side. There you go.
And the Bergsons' duty
stay right there, I got
was
you.
to stand
Other kids
against
inside.
this
That guy's gun was also
devouring
on Bergsons,
deluge
really.
of
He's in the window.
death.
He's right up there. He's low.
Kevin
Low.
was also eager to
Not
do
broken.
his part in the family's fight, especially when his older brother Mark was off somewhere. He was as much a
right there,
guardian
stay
of
right
their
there. You drop
mountain
down?
home as any of them.
Oh, no.
She stood. If they were to reach the
was two
summit and
blades, so
destroy
fuck.
this evil, as the Bergsons of old had done in the past, they would need the
I don't know the layout of
assistance
this place.
of the
Yep, there.
sanctuary.
Yeah, he's up. I didn't think he'd expect my fucking hop up. He did. There you go. This boy's probably coming back, but be careful.
Given to the Bergsons by Rhea herself,
Nice.
the sanctuary was a
I didn't even
gateway
loot the guy
to the
outside that I killed. Just go
mysterious
out towards the
lands
front.
around the mountain.
I got to your right.
Margaret pointed to the huge crystal at the center of the den, revealing their next task,
And right there.
to activate it and opened the way to the source of the corruption. And once Rhea's three spirits are gathered
Dude, was
on
I?
the grounds,
I was on Burst
the only
again.
gate to the top of
I think you're on
Mount
ammo.
Morta
Oh, maybe I was on Ad Ammo. Yeah,
this chamber.
that's on me.
By himself, or with the assistance of those who loved him,
That's on
John needed to gather the three
it's all right.
spirits from their
It's the first game of
lands.
the day. I'm not
Without
worried.
them, he would not be
First
able
game
to
of the day.
stem
And
the
it was a
flow
terrible
of the
start,
corruption.
Right? I mean, we had the one kid stream snipe me out of the air. Crazy, man.
You're going with the stream sniping excuse already, huh?
Yeah.
'Cause I agree.
All right, let's, this will be the second game of the day. Just see how our first two games today go. Because that first one wasn't terrible. Definitely could have been better. I didn't think the kid was going to expect my hop up on the window, but he was all in. I guess he was like, yeah, this is going to
Halls of
happen.
Anaidia must be here. Or she
Did I just
needs
get
to be
ran over?
found.
Nike. Are you stupid? Are you watching?
Is that Nike or fake Nikes?
Probably fake.
A celestial
You're saying you're gonna be
shard
gonna be gone for like a whole
chipped
week in New York City, though?
directly
Are you
from
gonna
the
stream
Saturday?
out there?
It's a
crystal
Saturday.
in the sanctuary.
Yeah.
It would be the Bergsons' lifeline.
It's and I'll tell you right now,
To
it's not a
pull
cheap
them
trip.
Back home
Holy shit.
before death's fatal whisper.
I mean, New York is ridiculous, man.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm trying to save up for gas for the cars, and this is just not helping.
Saturday to Saturday. I mean, at least it's a good time of year to be out there. The weather will be nicer. Not so
Filling
pleasant.
the winding tunnels of the silk-covered caves, the
How about your
acrid
Warriors,
taste
huh?
of poison lingered
Oh
in the
man,
air. Spiders.
Thursday it's
Linda told
listen.
herself
They're
it was only
their backs are
target
against the
practice.
wall. They've done
She
everything they
ready to
can. They've
roam
played
and
lights out a few
find the spirit
times.
deep
These
within
poor
the
Celtics
cave.
and the poor Celtics fans, more so.
Right.
They've got so much belief in their team when the reality is, I mean, these are the Golden State Warriors, baby. Right? You need it. Like either if you don't keep up, I mean, see ya.
That's right.
Can you believe I don't have feet on the floor tickets for Game 7 yet? If it goes to Game 7.
I honestly can't believe that because that's like you live out there, right? I mean, ish.
I mean, it's a quick hour flight.
Really, an hour? Fuck, I didn't even realize that. I would actually fully expect you to be at Game 7. That's like me missing a Cowboys Super Bowl game. Like, if the Cowboys are in the Super Bowl, I'm there.
I think the Warriors, though, are they're very. The organization, I don't know. I think they're really picky.
If you're talking to them directly, yeah, you got to have some in with someone at the stadium, right? Nothing?
I mean, it's a new stadium, Chase Center,
I guess that is true. I don't really think about that. Hey, Tim, so you're never going to go to a Super Bowl? That's great, chat. You guys are so funny. I'll see you next week.
You know those Cowboys ain't going to the Super Bowl, man, especially with the Niners. And, you having to deal with the Niners to get to the Super Bowl, it's just not going to happen.
Did Jimmy Garoppolo get traded?
I don't know. I feel like if he did, I would have heard about it. So, no. My phone would have called. I would have been called. The organization would have called me, GM and everything. Lynch, he would have like, hey, Doc, what do you think? But nothing's happened.
Who's the kid you just picked up, man? The backup. Trey
Lance.
Dude, honestly, I'm more afraid of the 49ers if Trey Lance is playing. I'm not even kidding.
Hey, give him an opportunity,
That's what I'm saying, man. I'd be more scared. I hope Jimmy stays, to be honest.
Guys got the helicopter.
Yeah, I'm going down.
Yeah. I don't know how far down you're going, but I'm in.
Try and link with you.
Nothing on my side.
Use a tactical smoke here.
How's the Sten? Any good?
I can't even think what that is.
It's the side profile.
Oh, it's pretty good.
I do have a.
How weird is it? I didn't know if he was above or below me. I'm gonna aim him off the pistol and confuse him. throw that. There's a guy sitting above there.
Well, let's get him down here.
He's on my left. He's on my left. He's gonna come to his door. He might have hopped, Doc, actually. I think he did hop.
No enemy hits on that run.
Two choppers.
Huh.
Just have a C4.
Right next to us. Oh God, see ya.
No survivors.
We'll be seeing you.
Another one.
Ooh. I'm zipping. Be updated. Update.
Guy flying in.
Did you hear enemy dropping? Is that what you heard?
I thought I heard a little.
Might have just been the zip, bro. Right? This kid right here.
You ever done the trick with the? Whoa.
I mean, I killed this kid on the right here. I want to go thirst him.
I'll get him. He's literally one shot.
Gas moving in.
Hey, be honest.
No, eran dos, loco.
Oh, we're in one of these lobbies, man.
Apparently. I didn't get my full-on orange either, so... Actually, I might have. I gotta... Alright, I'm hitting loady, Doc. I need it.
Yep. Dude, this MP40 is kind of nice.
You're safe here.
He's underneath the... I'm gonna call that out. He's like underneath peak. There's a shit ton of loadies.
No!
Enemy radar jam.
I might have missed. That gets me killed. Because I had to backtrack.
And I'll kind of look to see if anyone's flying on you.
I'm already here.
All right. Well, you want to go back up, or do you want to stay low? What do you want to do?
I'd like to get. Oh, guys sniping. Yep. Cracked him. You can go ahead and steal that from me. That's fine.
I broke it. F you, Tim. That's the death count I got. I think you're right about the lobby. Second game of the day. You hiding screen, Doc?
What?
You hiding screen? It don't feel like you're hiding the screen today.
He's getting in his little trucky truck. Yeah. Pussy. Let's not get him away, huh?
He just ran into something right there. I think.
Yeah.
It was perfect. You, Tim.
Oh God, another team. Jesus. Getting shot from another team, Timmy. There you go.
What happens when you street side, boys?
Any extra plates over there?
I'm coming in. Where's the other team shooting?
South. Beautiful. Did you hide your screen, Timmy?
Did you hide your screen, Doc? Because it feels like you didn't. I hid mine.
Yeah, I hid mine too. Yeah.
Did you actually, or are you trolling?
Champs, we hid the screen, right?
Guys, is he lying? Be honest. I chopped it out. I broke him. He's got to be holding it, right? Landed on your right, Doc, to your right.
To my right.
Everyone's saying he is lying. That's what my chat's saying. But
Yeah, that's your chat. Nice jump.
in the window. To the wall.
Everyone was encouraged to take part in a game of destiny. A prize awaited the fortuitous. There was only pain for the unfortunate.
Our plate's right there for you, Doc.
Look at this.
I hear someone else. Do I?
Get the helicopter out of here.
One time. I'm gonna get like a UAV and shit down here for the boys.
Let's do it.
And I'm really just not doing these jumps well. Second game of the day, folks, right? So keep that in mind. Put money down, you can get UAV. Or actually, get a cell. Fuck it.
I really want to just push these guys.
All right.
Guys, one shot right behind the rock. In fact, I got a little something for him.
Show my. He's angling me. Bullet. Nice. Oh, he was angling me like perfect. Money's on that buy if you need it.
Dude, I was supposed up right above him. Getting shot from behind.
Actually. Was that the kid that shot at you? The kid that was flying? There, right?
No. Guys, yep. One more. There should be one more.
Get the fuck out of my lobby.
Another one. Dude, this rate of fire on this is just sometimes.
It's crazy around us here. Wonder why.
Well, if you start hiding your screen and be a professional streamer.
Hey, you talking to your... Hey, Doc, you talking to yourself there?
Flowed around the room.
I still didn't do anything with that money that you dropped.
Object of the divine.
Yeah, I mean, it's still there. It might have disappeared, actually, by now, to be honest.
Let's go check it out.
That's still there, I see it.
What do you want me to get with it?
Kid's landing on me, hang on.
Where's this guy? Where are you?
You know, I mean, he's on top. He's like way... I can't even think of that rock up above you. I have self-forget.
Okay.
I'm getting thirsted by someone else. I'm not good. On your right. On the building on your right. VSM in the clan tag. Doc, it's the second game today. I'm not trying to be this mad right now. I'm not.
Oh, I'm so happy.
You got 62 left, you know?
I'm in such a good mood.
Whole lobby's in there. That's all I'm saying. Right? This whole lobby is that's true. I mean, I got VSM sitting on top of a mountain, holding us. Get him under control, Doc.
Holy shit. Got like 3-4 guys. Jesus, Timmy. Do I gotta do it all? I'll show you what to do. Look at this guy, he's already pre-firing. Look at all these guys. Look at all of them. Boring! Boring!
Doc, you can get that little supply zip right to your right.
Yeah. I know. But now that you said it, you know what I mean?
You're not going to do it?
No, everyone else will know.
mean, that kid had a better thing, chat. We aimed the same exact thing.
Yeah. Mark it. Mark it.
Not that Mimi. I think that first one's your best bet. There's another one right here if that's easier to glide to your left slightly. Oh, actually, no. Right one. You might have had it. Oh, wow. Man, I really want to go for my loot. You think I do?
No, dude, it's like three teams over there. All desperate.
Get my shit though and then link up with you. Get my shit, zip. Just fuck it. Let go.
Thanks, Timmy. All that hard work that I just did to try to keep us alive and win us a game, and you're just gonna go right in there and in 3, 2,
time on the fire. The worst case here, right?
3, 2, 1. Good luck.
Ready a recon, please.
You ain't nothing! Fuck, dude. I got the whole fucking lobby staring at me. Guys flying in right on my position. You know? It's just so boring. So boring. God, man. Fucking A, dude. Go get some. Go get. I think stream snipers are worse than actual hackers in the game. Like, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it.
That's wild.
No, but like, if you just really think about what they're doing.
I mean, Doc, we can kind of like prevent the stream snipers if we just.
Yeah, you need to stop talking about your Jeep and maybe hide your screen.
You know what's crazy, Doc? This kid was listening.
Comes.
This whole lobby's full of shit.
Love. Truly a divine emotion.
Oh yeah, the timing on that.
Love
Fuck,
had
man.
motivated this mother to lay down her life for her cub.
Killed this kid over here, Doc. He had the fucking stream in the background.
You got enough. You got enough now. To get the 2 times back to back.
Look at this kid there.
Love now compelled the young one to try and rouse her from the
You have plenty of time.
And it would be love
That's what I'm being told.
welcoming the new
back.
orphan.
Nah, you're fine. You're fine. These are all your stream snipers.
No.
Yeah. Timmy, you're my favorite. Timmy, I love you. Another one right here.
They all know. That's another solo. Doc, I'm not doing all that. I'm not in this lobby. I'm not in here like this, and you're doing that to me, right?
I got beamed out of air by somebody who has 4 viewers. Like, what do you want me to do, Timmy? It looked like you didn't have a chance in that fight, Timmy.
I'm gonna be honest, man. That was a gray fucking Armaguera that just did that. I mean, this kid is rotating like that, backside of zone. This whole lobby's cringe. This whole fucking lobby's cringe. It's all cringe. Hey, can you hear me, Mandingo? Fuck, you fucking bitch. You know that?
I've already hidden my screen and muted.
You know what's crazy? He's getting shot by another guy that was fighting me earlier. This whole lobby,
You want to watch
they
it?
all know. Everyone knows.
Oh, of course they do. Look, he doesn't know that he's on burst. What an idiot.
Well, I mean, Doc, the screen's got it. You know, just show him your beautiful face, man. I mean, holy
Boom.
fuck.
Closed, muted. You take full control, Captain.
All right, I'll take control.
All right, I'm just putting up 225 for 6 in the gym. That's it, Timmy.
I did 3 sets of 10, 225.
Yeah, it's like you gotta go. What do you go? 3 inches off your chest, and you just like, that's it. That's full extension for
3
you.
inches?
Yeah, 3 inches off your chest is full extension for you. Someone like me, 6'8", with these incredibly like just the arms. I mean, they speak volumes, man. Just the way these things are shaped, but like I have to get this thing 4 feet off
the
of my
one
chest.
so
Timmy.
willing to walk
Okay.
into their own tomb. The Bergson began
Hey Doc, I'll
to
be at
slip
NFT
away,
NYC
wondering
next
if
week
this
with
was
Steve
death.
Aoki. Would love to
Was
introduce you and have you out to our shows if you're not too busy making $1 million deals. I might be too busy making $1 million deals, Brad. I just might be too busy, Brad.
They gasped for air as the celestial shard
Timmy,
brought them
Timmy, you
back.
do you.
A sensation no hero could become accustomed
I had more
to.
damage than you last game, even though you had more kills. Just FYI.
I had more damage.
Nope, I double checked last second.
You see,
As she heard John
see-
and Linda describe their
see
foray,
Twitch's new ad
thoughts
incentive
rushed
program?
through
I don't
Margaret's
like anything
The
to do. I
corruption
don't want
had
anything to do with that
amplified the
fucking
creature's
platform.
wickedness.
Sorry, I don't even want
And
to talk
no
about it, Timmy.
longer were
I don't mean
they
to put you on.
fed
I don't mean to
harmony.
call you out right there,
It's
Timmy.
fine,
In
it's
fact,
fine.
you,
I
like
can
you're
understand,
starting to piss
yeah.
me off. You're
With
starting
the
to piss me off.
thoughts looming,
All right, shut the fuck up. Eat your
asked
beef
Ben
jerky. I can already tell that's what
prepare
you're
his
grabbing.
workshop.
Is it?
How did you know,
He would
man?
have
It's
to take
teriyaki.
charge of enhancing
You're
the
good, you're
warrior
good, man.
family's weapons
I
and
just
armor.
know. I know the food. I know the bags that they come out of. If you had some chips, I would have known that. It's crazy. That is pretty nuts, huh? Did you show? You didn't show camera, right? I actually I can't even say. You
Although
can't even say
in
that I
the
was lying about
safety
that.
of the Bergsons'
I mean, the
house,
timing was incredible.
young cub
The
would not
the
let
Champions
free
Club is very
anger.
impressed right now.
Exhaustion
Food guy, you know,
racked
it's the way
the
it is. I'll be right
animal's
back.
body, its chest heaving for even the smallest of breaths. The family believed several plants found deep in the nearby caves combined together.
Nelly
Could
Wasabi
serve
with
to
a $20
remedy
donation.
the
Hi, Doc. My
situation.
boyfriend loves your streams, and we always watch them together. I was wondering if you can give him a shout out. His name is Harrison, and he just graduated with his master's from Berkeley, and it's his birthday today. Sorry, Nelly, I didn't mean to. I went with a particular tone, but then you said Berkeley. I probably should reread that in a way that better represents you and your boyfriend. Appreciate that, Nelly. Thank you for the $20 donation. And shout out to Harrison, man. Not only his birthday, but graduating with his master's from Cal State Berkeley. Or Cal Berkeley, not Cal State Berkeley. Is it Cal State Berkeley or Cal Berkeley? Cal State Berkeley. Let's go, Harrison. Did I hear that you're a Detroit Red Wings fan, says Unknowing Al with a $5 donation. They're one of my teams back in NHL 93-94 days, that's for sure. Yzerman and what's the other guy? Who Sergey? Troy Crow with a $5 donation. Shut up, Timmy! Timmy played Bang, Marry, Kill yesterday with Nick Ninja and the 2-time.
Children
Tim choose to kill
of
the 2-time. What?
Morta.
Timmy, I'm hearing some rumors. Bro, what? What, low-key, bro? I'm back, bro. What's that, bro? Yeah, I heard some rumors, Timmy. Oh, yeah, bro. What, bro? I'm back, bro. Hey, bro, I'm back.
I've heard of it. You try already?
Hi, bro, I'm back. Where we landing, bro?
We're playing it right now. I just started it.
You ready?
Just started it. Uncle Ben can upgrade and enhance the Brinson's equipment.
Uncle Ben reached out to the familiar warmth of the forge. If they were to reach the top of Mount Morta, their equipment would need to be of the highest quality.
Upgrade their gear, okay.
One shot on me, T. I should have healed up right there. That was an eagle. That was a straight up eagle, John. I had plenty of time to heal up and.
Better than you. Know that.
Like better or way better?
Way better than that guy.
Yeah, I know.
I just like.
Doesn't it feel good to say way better rather than just better? This dude fucking sniped me, man. Holy shit.
Oh, we blessed with a live cam today. Indeed.
Right out of the helicopter, too.
Trying to get on Valor.
Trey told me I gotta start putting the camera back on for some fucking reason, so.
I'll tell you right now, had a terrific, and I mean an incredibly terrific day on Monday with Z in this game. I mean, we won a duo win, trio win, and then a duo, trio, and a quad win on Rebirth. So we had a duo, trio win on Caldera, and then a duo, trio, quad on Rebirth. I mean, we were rolling yesterday, or Monday.
When light faded from the sky and most were fast asleep, Mary would write about her family, immortalizing them for future generations.
Unlike you, Mr. Hashtag, okay, I truly enjoy the franchise.
Dude, he's a savage. We just gotta let him go. All right, we saved a wolf.
There's a team in here, and I might fuck this chop. So, all right.
What the hell was that?
Well, 2 other people just landed here. There's 4 people in that building.
Get down here, Timmy!
Don't know about that.
Holy
This is a
shit!
co-op game though,
There's
man. We
only
can play
2 left.
online and
I
play.
got one.
See, it's looking saying play co-op together or something.
Yeah, well.
You can access online play.
Oh God,
So
man!
like invite you
You
in
just
a game or
land.
something,
If
you know?
you just jump it,
Cool.
Just your decision making is not there. There's not.
let's
Two other things.
let's stay.
Yeah. Outside. I am getting shot from outside.
Shot from
I
outside.
was trying
What
to
does that
chop
even
the
mean?
guys sitting above us because there's a team holding us top peak. Even if we kill them, we got to get rid of them, right?
Top peak? You mean all the way up the mountain?
I just all the way up the mountain.
So what
They
are we
can
doing?
kill
What are we doing flying the
That's for
helicopter
the
down the
dungeon.
mountain, Timmy?
me. I was trying to chop the guys, and then they ran in on you.
You were doing anything.
My girl in there.
I was
I'll
flying.
go blow her up again.
Exactly, man. It's just like
It's like a roguelike.
It's just like a bad.
Pretty sure you die and you gotta
it's
reset.
Deja vu from a tournament. You just don't want to jump out the truck. You don't want to jump out of the helicopter.
Just
What's next,
honestly,
Timmy?
Honestly, just win your 1v2. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
I mean, I'm going in there thinking like, boom, we're about to clean this up. There's only 2 guys left, right?
You don't see me flying around on the minimap. You don't see me flying. You don't know.
All right. We'll kill Doc. Are you making money off me buying all these games you recommend? No. I wish. It's on sale right now though. You can get it for like $7. I went and bought the DLC too. Damn. I'm just trying to find like good little cheap games, you know? Yeah, give me the gold. Like the Conan game we played. You the one that wanted to play that. I didn't want to play that. In fact, I think you bought that game. Wait, or no, maybe I did buy that game. I don't know. I don't remember, but that was your game. Okay, I didn't recommend that one. I said it looked goofy and dumb, and it ended up being fun. But it's too simple. I mean, there's nothing to do. You play it a couple times, you're like, okay, that's about it. Those games need like 30 characters to play or some shit, you know? I wish I knew what my total gold was right now. No, I bought it for you because I didn't want to play it by myself. Okay, yeah, so you bought it for me, but that was your suggestion of a game, not mine. Cool, you could be a shield dude, so you protect my bitch ass. Okay, and I meant the Conan was like this because you reset after death? True. Yes, same concept. That was a bad time to do that. It's a pace game though. Like you move quicker. It's really weird. Most of these games kind of don't want you doing that. Interesting. Oh shit already? Okay. Is it? Bring it in. Oh. Big man. Oh, I just got Arby's, so I'll watch something for a second. What's there to watch? What do you want to watch? Dude, I got a skill point. Let me see if we can upgrade something. Damn. Boom, got another one. Easy. Might be a good spot. Oh, we can't get up there yet? Where's this? Movement speed or something? want to save it. Should we just wait? Should we level up over time? Okay, I just gotta roll on the floor laughing. It is what it is. What are we watching? What do we want to watch? I want to watch this. Let's see what they debate about. Okay. Boom. Boom.
How many guys will say like, oh, like, yeah, I don't care about this. I just want to fucking do this shit. And like, or anytime. Here's my go-to, okay? This is my go-to, all right? When I ask a guy, like, and maybe I have maybe my sample size.
Recommend whatever you like. You want to watch something else?
Whenever I ask a man, like, oh, like you some whatever girl I say, was it good? Did you like it, or how was it? The first thing they always fucking say is, who think that like this for 5 minutes is a good blowjob? It's like, what is happening right now? I've never. Maybe
you don't understand.
No,
it.
I don't. I don't like
also
this. People keep pointing to the East and we're like, oh, well, in Japan they do blah blah blah. Bro, in Japan they're literally having a crisis right now where men are virgins on average till like 39 years old. Okay, I don't know if Japan is a society you want to point to say these are who we're going to be emulating. All right. Hello, I know what you're thinking. Destiny. I need a VPN, and guess what? I have one of the largest VPN. What's up?
Okay, all right. So since Erudite's here, let's just get straight to the first one, all right? Because I want to channel the wrath of the YouTube chat.
Good.
Okay?
My conservative YouTube chat. They're all conservatives in there now. Yeah. What do you got?
Wait, can you compliment my choker first and then we can talk about?
Oh yeah. Are you wearing one right now? Oh, she is wearing one. Yeah, definitely. If I was on the panel, what's an unreasonable expectation for men? For us to not assume that a woman's a whore.
All right. Step one. The
That's-
name calling is
that's me
started.
Trolling. That's me joking. Don't
Oh,
take me
okay.
seriously.
Gotcha.
I did want to say one thing that Erudite said that kind of stood out to me.
Uh-oh.
Erudite, you sounded super disappointed when men said that they wouldn't cuddle with women that they're not banging.
Was that Erudite or was that Aristocracy?
Pretty sure it was Erudite that brought that up, no?
Erudite, are you listening? Oh, okay.
I am listening. I'm disappointed that men are not cuddling with women.
Somebody brought up the
Yes.
idea that like men don't cuddle with women, and one of the women on the panel is like, "Oh, well, why won't they?" I heard that, but I don't know.
I think
who said
that
it.
was I think that was Eris, but I can try to steel man her position if you'd like.
Okay, so if it wasn't you, then I won't
Yeah,
make you steal.
boring.
Yeah.
No one wants to steal,
Yeah.
man. We want people actually.
I did talk
upset.
about in general that like men are not getting. So what I said is that men are not getting enough intimacy, and it seems like they have replaced sex, like intimacy overall, with just the idea of sex. And so like when they try to get intimacy, when they feel that need for feeling close and vulnerable, and, like comfortable with somebody, their only thought goes to sex typically. Whereas for women, a lot of times they're gonna meet that need through cuddling, sometimes massaging each other, and sometimes sex as well. That would be more my position.
Okay, yeah, I don't disagree with that. That's perfectly acceptable.
True.
So then I'm gonna just move on to what Destiny said that I thought was wild. I believe Steven said that we don't like sex.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with that now. Yeah, I think that hookup culture, one night stand shit, I think everybody fucking sucks. How many women I've heard that will say shit like, oh yeah, guys just don't ever like to go down on me. Like, what the fuck? Or how many guys will say shit like, oh, like, yeah, I don't care about this. I just want to fucking do this shit. And like, or anytime, here's my go-to, okay? This is my go-to, all right? When I ask a guy, like, and maybe maybe my sample size is fucked, or maybe I have a selection bias. Whenever I ask a man, like, oh shit, like you fucked some whatever girl I say, was it good? Did you like it, or how was it? The first thing they always fucking say is, oh dude, it was awesome. She was so hot. Who the fuck cares? What the fuck does that have to do with actually fucking somebody? Like, and that will be the start and the stop for what any man generally considers like 95% of sexual interactions. And it just seems so horrible and shallow, and not even shallow and there's no emotional, but like, what, are you even having good sex? I think the vast majority of people that do hookup shit don't have good sex. I think it's boring and stupid and empty. Not empty emotionally, but empty in that like you're not having wild, crazy fucking sex out there. Absolutely.
Okay, so what are you qualifying as good sex, first and foremost?
Where people are good at what, yeah, what? Go ahead.
We have to take it 2 steps back.
Sure.
Okay.
Go 2 steps back.
You're talking about what's good or
Yeah.
bad sex. That doesn't matter whether or not they like sex or not. That's irrelevant. People can have bad sex and still fucking love it.
Oh,
And
sure. If
you're
you want to
judging
be, yeah,
good
sure.
sex-
That's true. Sure, I guess. Yeah, they like the
Yeah,
idea
well,
of it. I guess. Yeah.
They're enjoying it. That was what your original claim was. Your original claim was the people don't even like sex.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, that's. I don't think they are enjoying the act of sex so much. They just like that they're having it, and then they can say they had it. I think that's for a lot of people that do hookup shit. 100%, I think that is the case.
Can you explain the difference between those two things? Like, I don't see what.
If you're having a decent amount of sex, if you fucked at least like I don't know, at least 10 or 20 or 30 people, like there are some things that you should be very good at. You should be very good at fucking. You should be very good at giving head. If you've never fingered a girl before and you fucked 30 girls, what the fuck are you even doing? Like there are a lot. If you don't know how to use a toy in a girl, there are a lot of things that like seem to be par for the course for guys that are having sex. I'll hear these people that are getting hooked up with or hooking up with people all the time that don't have any basic sexual skills. Like what the fuck are you doing? Missionary or doggy for 5 minutes till you come and then you're done. And it's like, this isn't good sex. This is garbage. This is trash. This is high school level shit. And that seems to be the vast majority of like hookups or one night stands that happen, which is just mind blowing to me. I don't know why people. I would rather jerk off than fuck a girl in doggy style for 5 minutes, bust and leave. Why would I even waste my whole night taking somebody I don't care about to dinner? Never mind. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, but you're speaking from the position that you've made improvements.
Keep hating
like,
your life then,
You're talking
working
from
class
the
Andy.
enlightened position. I've gotten so good at it. I'm able to do all this stuff. Look at all these normies who can't do what I do, so it can't be enjoyable. What I'm trying to tell you is that some people just like routine. They like doing the same thing over and over. I know people who eat the same meal every day of the week. They don't give a fuck. It doesn't mean that they don't enjoy what they eat. It just means that they like the same consistency. I understand what you're saying because I feel what you feel, but I doesn't mean that I don't look at them and be like, they don't enjoy it. Of course they do. They love it. And the reason why the guy comes to you and be like, yeah, man, sex was so awesome. She was so hot. Is because for a lot of people, the mental aspect is the most stimulating part. Meaning they look at a hot woman and the fact that she's willing to get dirty and eat their asshole or suck their dick. Oh, I got this hot woman to let me inside her. That's enjoyment for them. You may not define enjoyment the same way they do.
Yeah, I think that shit is hella cringe. People, I guess, are right to have their own shit if they want, but that sounds like notches on a bedpost to me. And I don't even mean in the traditional, like, oh, you just want to number, but just in the, like, oh, I'm so happy that I fucked someone. It's like, oh, dude, that's awesome. Like, what'd you do? Oh, yeah, the same old. But, like, I'm so happy I got to do it with a different girl. It's like, why the fuck do you care? Like, why does it matter to you?
Would we maybe differentiate, because this is something I thought a lot about, of like when we talk about like liking sex, it feels like there's actually a lot of things going on there. Like one of them is like, I like the physical activity of sex.
Yeah, high performers, absolutely.
Yeah, they tend to be creative. They tend to try like feathers all the time, and they do like a whole bunch of unique stuff because it's like sex has become kind of an activity, and they distinctly.
Or it doesn't even have to be. It doesn't have to be like crazy. Like you don't have to be crazy experimental, do crazy shit like that. Yeah. The number of girls that I've hooked up with who think that like this for 5 minutes is a good blowjob. It's like, what is happening right now? You're fucking 28 years old. Are you fucking serious? You're sucking me up like you're a high schooler who's of legal age or whatever. Like that amount of shit. Or I'll hear the same thing from girls who will say things like how many girls I've met. They're like, oh, guys have never gotten me off from like giving me a head before. And it's like it's the easiest thing in the world, but they just haven't been with anybody that does it. I don't know what people are doing. And I'm not Abba. You're describing this like, oh, well, you're talking about like acquiring like a special set of skills like the fucking Dad in Taken. I don't mean it like that. I mean, if you're fucking over a period of time, like generally people are going to improve because they enjoy what they're doing. If you're just something like to go in and it's like the mental aspect of getting to have sex with someone is the thing that's stimulating you, that just seems really sad to me. But some people might do it, but.
Well, maybe there's this other category like lusting or libido. I'm not sure like what to call it, but it's like I don't like the activity of sex that much, but I like the process of acquiring and like knowing that I could acquire. Like I can fuck, not necessarily like I want to fuck, but like there's some pleasure in saying like I like to acquire sex. I like the process of like pursuing sex and achieving it. The actual sex
that's what
is
people.
Like, nice,
yes, what you
but
saying.
I actually care more about this.
That's what I think
there's
most people are like. Like 95% of people, at least in like the influencer talent world or whatever, people that are doing hookups seem to be those types of people. They like the idea that they can say they've had sex, and they like the idea of trying to get it so that they could say they've done it. But for the actual act itself, they just don't give a fuck.
I'm not gonna disagree on the fact that they may not give a fuck that much in regards to like being good at it. I just think that whether you enjoy the entirety of the act or just being able to get to do the act and what it means in your head, the fact that you experience joy throughout the process or afterwards, I think means something. And if you ask me, do people like sex? Yes. They might like it for different reasons. Some people will like it for the artistry. Some people might like it for like all the discovery. And some people might just like it because like, damn, I let a hot person fuck me or I got fucked by, you know what I mean? Some people just like it for different reasons. Sure. But I believe that most folks, yeah, they like sex.
Yeah, sure. If you define it like that, yeah, sure. I would say that, yeah.
Okay. Then I think that's the main thing because I think when you started describing like, man, people's blowjobs and all this other stuff, it's like, Some folks don't need a whole lot to be able to enjoy sex. Some folks don't need to do all that.
Yeah, because it's not have anything to do with the act. It's just the idea that they got to do it. They're so happy to like join the club, or like
or maybe they got a basic urge. You know what I'm saying? It's like, do you enjoy masturbating, even though you do it 5 times a day?
Yeah, but
you're not
like
getting better. No, but hold on. You're not getting better at masturbating. You're not like trying to improve your technique every day. You do the exact same fucking thing, and you jerk off 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah, exactly.
If somebody would ask you, do you enjoy it? You're like, yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I enjoy
but that's because that's masturbating. People, you guys are not you guys. Hold on, you're talking about people that are treating sex like masturbating, right? But what I would do is I would just masturbate. If I knew I was gonna hook, I've done this where I know that there's a girl I've either had a one-night stand with her or hooked up, and she's like, oh, we should blah blah blah. It's like I know what it's like fucking you. I would rather masturbate because I've got more time to play League of Legends or work on my manifestos otherwise. People that hook up and treat it like, oh, I just want to do like quick like masturbation thing. Basically, well, what the fuck is the point other than the validation or whatever bullshit is going in your head you get from doing it?
Or maybe you want somebody else to masturbate for you.
Well, isn't there kind of like 3 categories in that we're talking about? We're talking about some people who they like to pursue sex. That's like the best part about them is like that I can get sex. Other people really like the activity of sex, and then some people are just wanting to orgasm and they like orgasming the most with other people. And so like I'm sure you can have a combination of all 3 of these things.
Okay, hold up. Okay. Listen, I love my hand. My hand is amazing. My hand takes care of me amazingly well. I don't know what happens when another bitch touches my dick, but when she puts her hand on it, it feels like it's a whole new world. But it's just another hand.
I can't. It's a self-report on me. You're right. I've never. Maybe
you don't understand that.
I don't.
I've had someone give me a hand job, and the technique is terrible, but it feels amazing. I don't know what it is.
I can't. We're different in more than just the way we look, Abba. We're different. We are fundamentally different people. That might be a self-report on my end. Maybe most people are like that because I hear people say things like I see so much advice given on the internet. You know what? Fuck. I actually just might be so fucking wrong. I might be. I see so many people saying things like there's no such thing as a bad blowjob. Bullshit. I've had plenty of head where I would have rather jerk myself up where I have to stop the girl. And I'm like, all right, we're hopping off the train right now because this is not fun for me. Like, but you're telling me that just the fact that somebody else is doing it for you elevates it over any, like, you just masturbating?
Okay, so let me say this. There are good and there are bad blowjobs. But a blowjob always feels kind of okay. Like, hey,
no, really? Okay.
Yeah, there's warmth on my dick. It's a cool sensation.
Okay.
As long as it's not teeth, like, we're off to a really good start. Okay, I'm not saying it's a... Okay, go ahead.
I have a question for you, Destiny. So, because I feel like what Ab was talking about is like massage. Like, anytime I've got like a sore muscle, if I massage it for myself, I might be able to like move out the knot or anything, but it doesn't feel overly good. But it is effective at like my goal. Whereas if somebody else massages me, even if it's shittier and it's less effective, it still feels better for some reason.
I play the opposite. No, I don't. I play the opposite games with girls sometimes. You know, girls complain about guys pushing their heads down. There are some girls where I have to like pull them up. Like, no, don't go down there. Let's just you ride me or I'll fuck you. We'll figure this out. Because all right, your mouth and my dick are not working for me right now. Okay, this isn't happening. But the idea that you guys are describing sex. Hold on, and I'm sorry. I'm loading a lot of this. I'm not trying to be judgmental or sound like that because different people might engage with different ways. But it sounds to me like when you guys are describing sex, you're talking about like tickling, where it's like I can't tickle myself, but somebody else can tickle me. Is that what it's like for you? So like you go to masturbate.
That's kind of true though. But that's true.
Yeah.
But it's true for tickling, but not for orgasms.
No, it is true for orgasms as well. You can definitely get tickled to an orgasm.
This is why I like the massage, because the tickle one is a little, fair enough. But like, this is why I'm going with massage. Like, somebody can give you a shittier massage, but you like it more.
Only if it's in a part of my body. For me, that would only be in a part of my body I can't reach. Like, if I hurt my arm or something, like, I'm gonna rub my arm better than somebody else, like, fucking jamming their hand. But if I can't, like, rub my lower back really well, that's, like, really hard to do. Somebody else doing it is gonna be better, right?
Okay, I think that's where you're like kind of like maybe
autistic.
Like, than us.
I'm okay being autistic here. That's fine. Call it. Say it.
Are you diagnosing yourself?
No, I'm not diagnosing. I'm asking you for a formal diagnosis that doesn't breach the APA ethics.
We'll book our ADOS. Session together later.
Okay. The other thing that I heard said. Okay, I think you took an issue with something I said. I said looks matter for men, just not. Okay, yes. Something about the looks department. You said you heavily disagree with what I said. Can you repeat? What I said, and then just
men have a really broad spectrum of what they're allowed to look like, both in pop culture and in terms of dating success, because women don't tend to select only for looks. You can get away with some dumb shit if you're a guy only for looks, but even as an attractive guy, looks will only take you so far. Like, you know Hassan, right? Very attractive guy. If he was a loser with no job or whatever, some girls might fuck him, but they're not going to date him. A guy, even the guy that looks like that, they won't date him. This guy's a fucking loser. They might fuck him, but they're not going to date him, right? So all the other success he's got is helpful. Whereas for women, you could have the most loser, trash, piece of shit fucking woman in the world, but if she's hot, fucking A, dude. As long as she can kind of manage the house and not let shit, fucking guys will chase it. And they'll try to date it and even marry it. So I just think you can do a lot more as a guy to overcome looking a certain way. There's a lot more value that women tend to look at you for there. Whereas for women, it can sometimes be pretty narrowly restricted to like how young do you look or how fat is your ass or your boobs or whatever is technically how it goes, yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I just think you might be slightly discounting how important looks are for men as well. I don't disagree with anything that you said. My statement is not that men's looks matter just as much for them as it does for women in terms of social dynamics. I don't believe that.
It's
but
dependent
I think
on who's
it
pushing.
matters a lot. And listen, as an ugly man, okay, it is an absolute deterrent in terms of like meeting people. It
can be,
Would
yeah.
that be especially on dating apps? Because I think this is where dating apps is
On
really
dating apps, sure.
screwing
But
men.
listen, this is what I'm going to tell you. If you're an average guy, it's more important to have a 6-figure income than to be 6 feet tall. 100%. Absolutely. Like, yeah, like looking nice is really good, especially for things like Tinder or whatever. But if you're well put together, you're a stable dude, you got a good ass job, you're making decent money, you're going to be able to pull a ton. And if you're just a guy that's really attractive, you can pull a ton for fucking. But for dating, you're going to be pretty fucked if you're a loser.
Sure. I don't disagree with that. I think when I was in live stream chat, I was mostly responding to, I believe, what Aristocracy was saying, where she was kind of just going off the rails with like, guys
Orthodox
trying
Jews.
to conform. I'm not even talking about that part,
Yeah.
but there was like a portion where they were kind of just discussing the fact that like,
That's what I had was the beef and cheddar.
Just focus on that. And the guys, I feel like they're being pigeonholed too much into these looks. And just the way the conversation was unfolding, I'm like, no, these looks for men absolutely matter. There's a reason why if you go to the gym and you take care of yourself physically, it will 100% translate to women in terms of how attractive they find you. But it will not be the only determining factor. That was, I think, the majority of my state. And so it's just important for guys to know. Yes, you can have a dad bod. Yes, you can be overweight. Yes, you can be skinny. And it can work. But there's no doubt that being half decent looking is going to help you.
Yeah, of course. Being attractive will help you in almost anything. Yeah, for sure.
mazes.
But it's way more important for women than it is for men. If you're a fugly guy, you can do a lot to fudge around the lines. If you're a fugly woman, you are like fucked.
Okay, so here's my spicy take then.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of women, especially feminists, when I hear them talk about like, oh my God, these look standards are so prevalent. I feel
Doesn't do me good. I don't have a fucking shield.
Well, hey, listen, when it's 75% are at least overweight in the United States, it's pretty rare by definition, it's rare to not be fat.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe part of this like disparity as well is that like, so I feel like as a woman who's more interested in men, there's a lot of times a lower standard of attraction that I would just apply to them that I wouldn't apply to women in large part because like men don't use makeup and it's kind of social norm. So like our state expectation of how attractive a guy is always going to be lower. I think that's self-evident. I'd be curious, do you guys think if men started utilizing makeup, like I encourage most men being like,
no,
use, like,
why would you
the brown
encourage men to
thickener?
do that? Are you serious?
Because if they want to, it'll make them look good.
Yeah, so we can all be as fucked as women are in the head with fucking beauty standards? No, women should be using less makeup, not men using more makeup. What the fuck?
Bring that 2 steps back. You said you encourage men to use makeup?
Specifically like brow thickener, yep.
Oh my god.
If they're on dating apps is exclusively aesthetic. And like the reality is like most straight men are just like not super aesthetic and they don't know how to take good photos. A brow thickener alone can bump you massively in your attraction.
Ooh, how do you think most women would react if they found out that a dude was using makeup on them?
You silly.
Negatively, definitely. But I think if they don't find out and if they're attractive enough with it on, most of them would probably adjust. I don't think it would be a deal breaker for most women.
Their life giving
so
way
why is it just
to new
eyebrow
life,
makeup?
moving the cycle
because I think
ever
like
forward.
the obvious appearance of makeup is going to be an odd, like it's not
shit.
social
He's on my
standard
team
for
now,
men to
or?
wear makeup. Like obviously if you can tell you're wearing makeup,
That's sick.
or something like
That's
brow
sick.
thickener
Two
is actually
time.
really difficult to tell if you're subtle, with a slightly improved looks without.
So basically, you're saying like you guys should use
Eyebrow filters.
horrible.
In dating apps, yes, absolutely.
What about 6-pack abs, like the ones that you can edit on photos?
So here's the thing, like, you don't want to be especially.
What's the difference? What's the difference between the eyebrow stuff and the
well, putting on an
six-pack?
eyebrow filler, you can always wear it, right? That's why, like, I don't know if I agree with people being like, women wearing makeup is like catfishing. That's like, yeah, but if she wears it basically all the time, she always kind of looks like that, right? So if a guy is consistently wearing, like, when I'm saying filler, like it's like a makeup application, right? He could wear it most of the time going out on dates. You can't like draw on 6-pack abs. And just to be clear, I'm saying this descriptively to help men. I don't think it's something I would prescribe.
Who come?
This is better for society overall.
New phone, who did?
Okay, hold up. I don't know what the word prescriptive means. What does that mean?
Telling people to do things, they have to do things.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is I'm kind of describing a solution for how the world is right now for men, particularly in dating apps, to like improve their chances of getting a date. I'm not saying that this is necessarily like the best thing that will lead to a better society long term.
So what if there was abs that guys could just draw on anytime they needed to? Would you think it'd be good and prescriptively acceptable?
So they could just like magic it and their like beer gut would disappear.
I mean, we all have abs. They're just they're hidden sometimes.
Yeah. Like let's say they just got a stomach that's a tiny bit flabby, but if they draw appropriately, they can
Get some bronzer out, do some contouring on the tummy there. That's not too bad.
Are you with that?
I suppose if they want to, just like realize the reality is, if it's really noticeable, women are going to find that unattractive because men wearing makeup isn't socially normal yet.
Yeah. Nah.
Nah.
I guess if it can help you with the online dating apps, I guess it's a thing. But I don't know. I'd look at a dude funny if I ever knew he did that. And I think most guys would be so self-conscious about the fact that they're even having to do anything like that. I think the problem is that women's makeups is so like acceptable within like modern society, and like most folks don't say nothing.
Their life
What
giving
you
way
say
to
sounds
new
great
life,
in theory,
moving the
but
cycle
when we
ever
try to apply
forward.
it to men, I think where it kind of falls apart is that we all have an instant like disgust with it, viscerally speaking. And whether it's the abs or the makeup, there really isn't a difference other than we've made it societally acceptable for women to have all the makeup. But there's no difference.
Yeah, and I would totally agree with you, right? And so, like, if you want to talk about, like, a better society overall, we can talk about that. The idea is, like, the reason why men wearing makeup is such an issue is because it's not with men wearing makeup, it's with men getting caught wearing makeup, right? Being found out of, like, oh, you're obviously wearing makeup, where there isn't that issue with women. If a woman's being caught wearing makeup, everyone's like, yeah, that's super normal. And then we feel a little weird if it's, like, makeup to, like, such an extreme that, like, when she takes it off, she looks like a vastly different person. Like, people feel a little weird about that still, I think, a little bit. Which is why what I'm saying, like, when I'm giving this advice to men, I'm not saying like this is a better society. I just realized specifically with dating apps that most straight men are a little bit fucked.
Yes, I think when it comes to pictures and stuff like that, I don't disagree with women definitely have an advantage. But I think the reason why people recoil from it, and this might sound a little bit true traditionalist, as I think when it comes to androgyny and men like kind of crossing the boundaries into things that we traditionally see as feminine, we just tend to recoil because naturally in our brains we see it as off-putting or something's out of place.
And so will women.
And
just
so,
to be clear. Yes,
you know,
I'm not disagreeing with that.
You could be as, you know,
the halls
gender
of a
bendery as you want to
Neodaya,
be. But if
so
I see a dude in a dress,
mesmerizing
I'm
in
gonna
their
laugh.
magnificence
I'm gonna
were to
laugh
be
and cry, like, that's
found
what
at the end
I
of
could be like, do
the
whatever you
road.
do. But
Yeah.
so it's the same thing. If
I'm
I
just-
found out a
hero
dude
never
was like doing his
knows
eyebrows
what is
for pictures,
waiting
I'm like,
at
you
the
know what I
end
mean?
of
That's a
the
little
road.
flowery, but do
Moving
you?
is more
Right, and here's the
important
thing, right?
than
That's
reaching.
kind of interesting because actually thick brows is typically a marker of masculinity, right? If people don't think that like male models and all these things aren't getting like eyebrows filled and all that stuff, like you're laughing. Of course they are, right? And so I'd be curious though, because there's a really big difference, I think, in like, I think we're all somewhat within a similar age range. Do you think though that in younger generations, we're actually progressively moving a little bit away from like the very traditional norms of like at least male aesthetic?
Male aesthetic, I think, has been bent pretty hardcore throughout, maybe, I don't know if all of human history, but in all of my lifetime, men have a wide variety of ages and body types that they can fulfill. Women's, for a while, I thought, was getting blown open. We went through the Pamela Anderson shit, then we went through this like kind of like girl next door shit. But now with Instagram and everything, women are just the architects of their own destruction with how inhuman, how fucking disgusting and alien-like they look today. Dude, being in Miami, it is actually gross. Like, I think there are legitimately, like, women that are hard to look at when I walk by them. Like, you actually look like a fucking duck. Like, I can see the glow off your face of whatever augmentations you've had. Like, I hope you at least have fucking 5G in those lips, because Jesus Christ, otherwise, it would be fucking just sad. Like, yeah, so that's...
Yeah, for sure.
Can you just repeat your question briefly? Because I Destiny had me laughing.
You're good. I was wondering if you think, like, in younger generations especially, do you think they're moving away from that, like, traditional, like, it seems like black nail polish, for example, is kind of becoming an in thing with younger kids. And I know a lot of girls who find it genuinely really attractive. And so do you think that, like, the younger generations particularly would be maybe be more open to, like, if a guy's like, you know, 4 dates in, she's like, you have amazing brows, and he's like, yeah, you know, and trick, I actually feel it a little bit. Do you think she'd be like, ugh, or do you think, like, especially think like 19 to 23s?
And let me say this:
young
every
all these guys do these. Oh,
hold
God,
on, hold on.
so
This
gross.
is this generation's skinny jeans. Okay, that's what nail polish is. Okay, when I was growing up, I remember skinny jeans came out, and then everyone was like, "Oh, that's kind of girly." People started rocking them, and that became a thing for a long time. Now the skinny jeans have faded, and now people are back to wearing whatever. And I think right now we just deal with the nail polish. It's not that deep. Do I think women are going to get to the point where, like, dudes are doing full-on makeup and they're like, ooh, I think that's so sexy? I think there's some people who would like to believe that they would get to that point, you know, in the sake of progressivism. But I think, viscerally speaking, I think people are still always going to.
Well, actually, I disagree.
Wait, but men's jeans have been skinnier over time. So then we got really skinny in, like, the grunge period for a bit. But after we came out of grunge, men's pants are much more, like, cut than they were in, like, even the 80s. Like, so, like, it is UGG, but is it less UGG now than it was then? Like, I feel like there's a bit of a change. Like, I feel like we actually are somewhat.
They might not be like baggy crazy like they used to be, but I don't think they're like skinny jeans skinny, right? Like they were, like,
yeah. We found a middle ground. But
there's like a middle. They're more tapered, maybe, to borrow Cherry's word of
But they're pretty tight on the bum, right? Like most men's jeans that look nice are like a little bit.
Well, yeah, but wait, hold on. Even classic jeans always made guys' ass look good, right? Even the classic, like, cowboy shit. Yeah, they climbing on the horses. You'd be like, oh yeah, like that. Even traditionally, you're not. I don't think. Unless I'm crazy, I don't remember even in the 90s there being like baggy jeans. Like they might hang off your legs, but they're still gonna like hug your ass.
Yeah, hug your ass, and I was going to go on to scream, like, a little bit looser in the quads. Nobody wants to see your moose knuckle. And then again, kind of tighter in the calves, and then loosening out around the ankles. Again, not as tight as skinny jeans, where it's just, like, stuck down. But there's kind of this tightening overall, whereas in the past, for example, there'd be no tapering around the calves.
Hey, listen, this is super technical, talking about men's legs, which is something I never really think about. But I will say, do I believe that this generation bends more than we did in the past? Sure. I just don't think we're going to go past a point where it's going to break. You get what I'm saying? I think there's a cutoff point for most things, and I just don't know if we'll ever get to a point where dudes are wearing full-on clown makeup like women can.
No, you can. Here is how it'll happen, okay? To quote the prophet Dave Chappelle, okay? A man's test is a woman. We might make fun of men that wear fucking eyebrow, whatever bullshit right now, but men, especially, the more you hate women, this is absolutely true. The more you hate women, the more important a woman's opinion is about you. Usually the most hatred that a person can have of a woman is because women have scorned him, because the opinion is so important to the man. If it was the case that 5 years from now, putting fucking eyebrow shit made it so that you could, like, fuck more women on Tinder and guys found out about that shit, every motherfucking CVS in America would be selling makeup for men. Men would have fucking YouTube channels about how to perfectly do their fucking brows to pull the hottest number of bitches they can off Tinder. It would absolutely become mainstream instantaneously if it was the case that it was effective at pulling women. Guaranteed.
Sure. I don't disagree with that. I just don't believe that women can
where they want. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, because
I think most women get over it. Like,
there was a point in my childhood where, when I was in high school, I think, where it was around like the pop punk era, where guys wearing eyeliner was considered hot, and they started to get more into that stuff, like Taking Back. I think was it Newfound Glory? Oh God, who did American Idiot? Oh my God.
Green Day, you fool.
It's not Taking Back. It's not Newfound Glory. It's not 311. It's not. It's like the fucking. Like the most popular pop, yeah, Green Day. I'm pretty sure they wore it like in a lot of their music videos. I think Bright Eyes, or the Killers, I think wore it in their videos, and all those pop punk music videos. All those guys had like pretty heavy makeup on. Like you'd see like eyeliner and shit, and Yeah, but then I think that fell out when the next trend came around or whatever.
Terms of special objects found in the land
Yeah,
Morta.
I think if women start
Each
seeing,
one of them
like,
has a
there's
special
reason why a
effect
lot
that
of,
can
like, straight
be
women will,
activated by
like, be
pressing
like,
R.
oh man, that guy's so hot, like he must be
One
gay
charm at a
because he
time.
takes care of his aesthetic. Like I think women actually want aesthetic in
Oh.
men, and so like I think there are definitely some women who would like cringe if a guy like on his Tinder profile says like I wear lots of makeup, right, and like high heels. Like most women would be like, ugh, right? But if, for example, like Justin Trudeau is considered the sexiest world leader, and he like threads and fills his eyebrows and like manicures things and like takes really good care of him. Like the reality is that like we actually do like a certain level of like self-care aesthetic in men. We just have also like done this weird thing where we shame it as well, even though I would argue women want it to some extent. They just don't want it to the extent that the men becomes feminized. But I don't actually think a thickening brow it's actually distinctly a masculine trait. A nicely
I don't either.
beard. Yeah.
I don't either. I think what is feminizing is the fact that they're using makeup to get wherever they want. That would be where I think.
Not all in the
It's not
caves
the
were
fact that he's making
refugees.
his eyebrows thicker.
Some were just
That's not the
traveling
issue. It's the fact
merchants
that he's using
stuck in a
makeup to
bind.
get to that point. I think is what's weird.
I mean,
That's
we'll
fair. I
say
just
that,
think
but
it's
like
shades
every
of-
single. I think what you're erudite. There's like a thing like people they want men that have makeup on. They just don't like the type of men that put on makeup on themselves. It's like that type of thing. Yeah.
It's kind of the same lot. Yeah.
Like if there was like a device where a man could like stamp his face, like I'm makeup for the day, like everybody would be chill with it. But it's the idea of like thinking of a man like in a mirror, like like doing the eyebrows and like the mascara and then like the fucking foundation, bronzer, and getting everything in the eyeliner. Like it'd be like, oh, I don't know if I want to. That's like a super feminine. But if there was a way you could stamp your face, I think women would be like, yeah, fucking do it.
Yeah, there's a whole e-boy aesthetic based fully around men's makeup and like beard clothing. Like there's just a whole thing, and it's becoming more popular. I would say distinctly in younger generations. Like it's just makes you look better.
The strange-looking shopkeep dusted off his clothes.
Hopefully, it doesn't go as far as
tipped his
women do,
hat.
because I would agree it's kind of.
He invited them to stop by his shop later,
Okay. Third
promising
thing that I wrote
something
down.
for all adventuring needs.
I try to take notes because my brain doesn't work well. Fuck! I think this is some error.
I have to go in like 5 or 6 minutes.
6
so-
minutes, you're good.
Okay, yeah, I think there's some error stuff she said. But she asked the question. I think she said, "Oh yes, no, you actually asked this question. You asked, what are some unreasonable expectations that are placed on men in society?" And I think the main one, for me, from my perspective, is that men are expected to lead and to have it together. Wait. Okay, yes. I basically said that there's something in dating dynamics where men are kind of seen as these like physically imposing figures who are kind of dangerous and threatening, but at the same time are also expected to be the ones who are like, able to read your emotions and to catch your nonverbal cues and to help you through situations because society's made it hard for you to voice your opinions. And so it's like the people who are also threatening and like scary and imposing are also the ones who are supposed to help you communicate things that you may be too uncomfortable to communicate. I think that expectation to have it together, to lead, but also to be super emotionally sensitive and to all this stuff, I think that's probably the expectation I think is most.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be curious what you think my opinion is, and if you think it's different, then that means I did a good job moderating. Do you think that I would broadly agree with that?
No, because I want to be contrarian.
Base, awesome, thanks. So there's this idea that I talk about a lot with a lot of my viewers, which is that it seems like in modern dating, men are in a bit of this double bind, where there's a lot of traditional values like stoicism and providing and pursuing, and all these things. You had a list of paying for the first date, being the one to initiate all the kisses, and it always has to be implied consent, and all these sort of things is kind of thrust on men. But then now also women are saying, but I also want a sensitive guy, and they'll never say I want the pursuing guy. They'll usually just be like, why didn't you ask, or like things like that, like you should have asked more. But then they also say that they want a really emotionally available man, and then the issue is that A, we don't really teach men like what emotionally available means. B, we kind of tell men that emotionally available looks the way that it does for probably women, and there's probably a bit of a different way that
In
emotional
front of the hero,
expressed between the two
an
groups.
object of divine
And so it
energies.
feels like we parent boys to be like the least emotionally available, the least like emotionally in tune, and we don't really teach them healthy ways to like regulate or express necessarily. And then they grow up and they're told, okay, now you have to be stoic and pursue and the leader and kind of like dom in a lot of ways, but also be emotionally available, want to be egalitarian in the home.
What
kind of be
strange
a bit of a house
thing
husband.
could have
And so it's
dragged
like, we're
grandmother
basically
this
asking men
far?
to be perfect.
The will of Rhea
Which
will
seems
flow
really
in those
unfair
still
and extremely
obelisks
ironic
to
based on
aid
like, I
the
think a lot of
guardians.
situations that men are
This
trying to
was the
impose
only
on
thing
modern
Margaret silently whispered, and the Bergson
Yeah,
had
so
to
I guess I
return
have to
home
have to take
in order to understand.
That is
what
true,
occurred.
but
I
men
have
can't
the
even meet
raging
the
feminist
lowest of bars. Have a
I agree.
job, have your own place, Don't be a fucking schizoid. And you're already ahead of like 95% of guys, because guys on the dating market right now are fucking trash. Absolute trash.
Yeah, which is why I said, like, men suck, so do women, but like there's different dynamics going on that are making each of these groups kind of suck and each of these groups do better. And we have to just talk about what they are and be honest.
All right, and the last thing I was going to bring up was I think there was a discussion in regards to men's vulnerability. And I think Destiny said something like, yeah, dudes will call their friends, be like, hey, man, have a good night, and then kill themselves.
Bro.
Yeah. And basically the final question was like, how can we get dudes to open up? Like, why aren't they doing it? And I don't know how you feel about it.
So many fifis on this. I have so many fifis on this.
Okay, I was just going to say, I think the main thing with dudes is that there's an expectation of us to be able to lead and to take care of things and to manage a lot around us. And I think it's very difficult to feel like you can do that, whether true or not, when you are
all 8 eyes studied the one so willing.
How hard it is. I think then you kind of break that mold or that idea that you're trying to hold of like you having your shit together when you don't. And I think it's just easier in those regards. At least that's what you convince yourself, that it's better to just keep quiet and keep that shit to yourself than just share that with your friends. I'm not saying this stuff is good. I'm not saying it's the right way. I'm just saying it's good.
Yeah. There's this something I actually realized in my own relationship when
there's no tell sign or anything.
A separation about last year. And so I had to do a lot of like self-analysis of like, what the fuck happened? It's not working, and I need to figure out why. And I realized that there's,
the only way.
I don't want to say for everyone, but I feel like a lot of women have this implicit bias that basically is that trad. Like, men are going to be a little bit more emotionally solid, they're a little bit more stoic, or maybe they just feel a little bit less, right? And this, I'm saying it's implicit because I think explicitly most women would be like, of course men have feelings, and of course those feelings matter. But what I noticed every time I got into a fight, and my relationship with my husband is pretty egalitarian, it's very much not a very trad relationship at all, and yet when we got into a fight, say he brought something to me that he was feeling some sort of way about, and he just wanted to kind of vent and talk about his feelings, if it upset me in any way that he felt that way, suddenly my feelings took precedent over his, even though he had brought this up first, and suddenly it became about me. And I actually think that this happens a lot in a lot of like heterosexual relationships, and I actually had to do this pause where I went, wait, if this was my like best friend,
the creature howled in anguish as
to me,
death slowly beckoned to bestow its
need to insert my emotions into the conversation and make the conversation about my feelings first before his issue. And I realized, fucking no, obviously I would never do that. I would just like hear their feelings out and be like, yeah, that's really valid that you're feeling that way. So I don't think women actually let men talk about their issues, and then when they do, there's a lot of like, not all women, but there's a lot of this like weird
dictated to return
like, oh, like that's too bad, or like, oh, like they'll kind of infantilize a little bit, and maybe that's because
they'll say that's cute.
Yeah, and maybe that's because like we do it with each other a little bit, and maybe it works. But I've always found like when I've had like guy friends that are struggling, I've always been thanked by them because I like intentionally try to be like as non-infantilizing as possible. Like they'll be like, oh man, I'm just like really fucking like I'm devastated, like I'm so sad, and I'll be like, yeah, that's super fair. Do you want to talk? And I'll try to be like super even keel about it.
The flip side of that
for the missing boy, Ben thought that maybe he should have hidden the daggers better.
The man is almost made to feel responsible too for both halves of it. So if the guy has a problem, he needs to figure his shit out. Why are you putting this unfair expectation on the woman? And if the woman
Margaret,
has a problem,
in her wisdom,
guy has to figure his
knew
shit out.
that
Why are you making her
nothing
feel that
would have
way?
remained hidden
really
from
weird as a
Kevin
guy to
forever.
bring an issue to a woman, like, hey,
Now
you're
she
doing
only
something that is
encouraged her
making me
son
feel
and
bad.
his daughter
To even
to
have that
hurry
boundary
and
I found
find
out
him.
this is even an issue for me, which I would have never even imagined. I found this out. Oh, you know, I found this out when somewhat recently, where it's really hard as a guy to bring an issue to a girl, like, hey, you're making me feel this way, and I think you need to stop. It's very weird to tell a woman that she needs to change his behavior. It feels wrong to even say it.
Oh yeah, yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does, because you're always used to things the other way. But what you said about them making their vulnerability about them, I brought
Kevin
this up to you,
returned from his saga with barely a scratch. Yet he found no appreciation from his family,
I felt like you just saw it was
especially his father.
You basically made it sound like
Despite having Linda on his side,
what I said was that
his
I don't
father
think
was
it's a
still
problem to
mad
open
at him
up.
for
I think the main
endangering
issues
himself
are people
and
that come off
worrying
as
them
being
all,
generally,
including
and then they
his
also
pregnant
vulnerable,
mother.
and it's like nobody cares.
His
They're just
favorite
like,
line
but here
asking
you have
how he
Erudite,
could
who
be
herself
so
is saying that when she was
inconsiderate.
vulnerable in the past,
He
she's had
wondered
negative
whether
results because
Uncle
of the fact
Ben
that,
would
she
understand
made it
his
about
bravery
herself.
and
So I
initiative
don't think that's
better.
necessarily her.
Well, no, hold on.
With
I
his
don't think her
heroic
issue was that
act
she made it about herself. I think the issue is she
unrecognized,
always makes
the
it
young
about herself.
boy
That's
waited,
not like the problem.
frustrated,
Which is, I think, the experience that a
expecting
lot of
more
men have. That's what I was
punishment.
trying to tell you, that a lot of times when we're
What
expressing
Kevin
our
had
vulnerability,
not
the women, it's like
expected
their little badge of
was
honor
his
where it's like,
parents'
oh, he opened up to
reaction.
me, or they internalize it, or
Heartened
they
by
really
his
focus on
courage,
themselves.
his father
Yeah, I
was
guess
going to
it's
teach him the ways
expressing
of
a
battle.
vulnerability is different
And
than
his
like
mother
I have a problem
was
that I need you to
far
fix.
from the
If you're just
frail
talking
and
about it in terms of
always
like,
worried
because like there can be a lot
housewife
of
she had
vulnerabilities because of
seen.
nothing like
A
I'm vulnerable because like, I
Bergson
feel
through and
unhappy with the
through,
relationship my
she
parents
gave him
have.
her blessing
That's a vulnerability
and
you
asked
express that has nothing
only
to do with
that he
like, I need
temper
to change
his
behavior.
courage
If you
with
had framed that
caution.
whole argument as like vulnerabilities that were constrained to the act of like this is something that you're doing that makes me upset and you to change it, then I probably would agree with you. Yeah, because it feels pretty hard for men to make demands of women to change their behavior. It always feels like women are fixing men. Like how many men are like, oh, I'm gonna fix that woman?
Perhaps
Never
Uncle
happens, right?
Ben
But there are
was
some
the
people who are like, I'm gonna
happiest
fix
of them
that guy.
all.
So I would probably
Not
agree with you
only
there.
had his
Or that
nephew
might have just
held
been me
his
getting
own in
really-
combat, but had
And
done
just,
so
I will
the
be clear, though, like, the
weapons
reason that
he
this is
had
happening
made
with
for him.
Nick, like my husband, is it's
Kevin
not really,
only
like,
wished his
like, I don't
older
think he's
brother
a
Mark
character
was
that's,
there
like,
to
a weak
witness
man,
his
or
rise
feminine, or
to the
like
family
anything like
calling.
that kind of man. The issue was that basically, like, I was biased to assume like my emotions were more important, and the reality is I think he was too. Right? Like I think we both bought into this because I think it's just kind of part of our gender norm.
Defeated,
It's why like
the
unironically
Spider
like
King
women can
had
kind of be
been
like,
removed
yeah,
from
I'm
the
sorry, I
path
was like really terrible.
leading
Haha,
to
I was
the
just a little bit
halls of
emotional. Like
Aneadiah.
it's the
Although
infantilized
the
that we've like always
pestering
kind of given women,
greedy
which is both
goblins might still
harmed women,
prove
but also gives them
dangerous
small
along the
benefits,
way.
right? And I think that this is a dynamic that I see a lot, and I'm not
Uncle
saying every
Ben was
relationship
pointing
has
out
this, but I
possible
think it
routes
happens more
forward,
often than
speaking of the troubles
Yeah,
pilgrims
I
had
don't
run
think that's something
into
that's ever going to
in
change.
the
I think
lost
there's a very
trenches.
sound reason why. I think generally when women traditionally show emotions, I think we've always been kind of taught to protect in that regards. And so when we see women crying, we see it as a moment of crisis. That's just how we kind of view it. So naturally, even if I was conveying something to my girlfriend and I was explaining something that really hurt me and she started crying, I would immediately start focus on her tears rather
The
than moment that I'm having
mysteries of the
because she's
world
upset.
were
And I
like
just think it's just a
open
natural
books
order thing.
to the wise.
I don't
And
think it's
words from
necessarily
the
a problem.
wise
I just see
shall
it
benefit man
as somebody
and
who's
beast.
dealing with something. I think it's just very difficult to feel like there's a space for me to open up in that regard. So when it feels like that space isn't really meant for what I'm going through, but more so for how it makes the other person feel, be it special, be it whatever. And I don't know, like I told Steven the other day, I was the whole like, oh, that's cute. Like I don't know what it is. I can't explain it in words, but viscerally it just disgusts me when I think of like men going through something bad, and like a lot of women's response is like, it's cute that he can open up that way.
I mean, but men do the same shit with women where it's like, oh, it's so cute that I got your virginity, right? Like, men do the same shit. Like, we all value, like, special
I just don't
experiences.
understand the parallel there. With the
The
whole
parallels that people like to, I think it's cringe. I agree with you, okay? But that's because I am autistic, okay? But for normal human beings, I think that they like to feel like they're sharing special, unique moments with other people. I want to be the one that is the first time we try this thing, whether it's something sexual or emotional or seeing a movie or whatever. Like, try this. Like, you're on a date with a girl and you think she likes you, you like her, and you're like, oh shit, like I saw this movie with X girl last week. She's instantaneously gonna hate that movie, right? Even if it's a good movie, you're like, well, fuck, you already saw this with another fucking girl. Like, what the fuck? Why am I here with you? You know? Like, people just like to feel like they're getting special experiences, even if it can be a little cringe. And I agree with you, it absolutely can be. But like, people are like that, you know?
I think it's different if like you and I are sharing a special moment.
Drowned in the blood-soaked muck of these trenches, with a path to the halls of Aneadiah.
I feel honored that you taught me that. That's different. When I'm sharing something traumatic with you, and you're like, "Oh, that's cute."
Oh damn! Look at all these people.
If somebody says,
I
"Oh, that's
think
cute,"
those two things are a little different.
well, no. If somebody says, "Oh, that's cute," that's cringe. I agree with you. But if they're like, "Hey, I think it's really cool and special that you thought you could trust me to share that with me," like, I appreciate that. I don't think there's anything cringe about that. It makes sense.
Or maybe it's just in my head. I just don't understand the need in that.
Ah, it's pretty dope. Cool.
Well, it's not about
All right.
yourself. It's about sharing.
I have to be
Leave.
the
No
worst.
one cares. Bye. See ya.
I gotta go.
Bye.
I gotta go. Nice chat.
Yeah, we were done talking to you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
All right.
All right. Now that she's gone.
All right. Let's get to the real incel talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. I took one more note. I think.
Good.
Okay, having your own place. I know the chat. You and I are probably gonna agree on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Probably more than I just didn't understand everybody be like, yeah, man, like stay home at your parents' all stuff. Maybe it's fine if you don't really care about fucking. I just don't understand how people can stay at their parents' place till like they're 29 and still have sex consistently. I
I'm trying
couldn't
to
even
imagine. Yeah, they're. I agree. I've thought about this. Like
You
you're
know,
like
but let me tell you
25,
something funny.
and your
One
mom,
of
you're
your
like getting,
chatters-
you're like getting in a bed. And you're like, oh, I love you, honey. Like I'll be back when I go say hi to mom and dad. Like, oh, what are you doing? What is happening right now? Yeah, that feels so fucking wild to me.
Bruh, one of your chatters said to me like, well, why don't you just like rent a hotel? I'm like, how do you think I'm not having sex? Where I can afford a hotel every time I need to get laid. And what? I know this guy never tried it. Because there's no way you can comfortably taking women you were going on dates with to hotels regularly.
Yeah, that
They're
would
gonna
just
be like, what, am I some kind of prostitute?
Yeah, or
Am I
porn
an
star.
escort?
Like, where's the fucking camera? You know? Yeah.
Like, who are you hiring to fuck? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not saying that financially it's not tough out there. I'm not saying don't get roommates. I got a roommate to this day and I make a lot of money. I think it's great to want to think about your finances. But if you are a man who is actually out there trying to date and fuck, I do not understand how you stay at your parents' place and do that. I'm not saying it's not unfair. I'm not saying it's not expectation. I'm just like, how are you getting any pussy and staying at your parents' place? How?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I do agree that, like, if I think about it more, I can see worlds where that is the case. It's just usually when I think of people that live with their parents, it sounds so mean, I'm sorry, but usually they're losers. But I can imagine there are probably people, and I'm sure all of you in chat right now that live with your parents, where you're working a job, you probably help with some bills around the house, you got your own shit, you got a car, you do everything, like, but you live with your parents, it saves money, whatever. But you can do your laundry, you can do everything. Like, I imagine those people are probably doing okay. You know, that would.
Yeah.
Also, I don't like this.
think-
People keep pointing to the East and we're like, oh, well, in Japan they do blah, blah, blah. Bro, in Japan, they're literally having a crisis right now where men are virgins on average for like 39 years old. Okay, I don't know if Japan is a society you're going to point to say these are who we're going to be emulating, right?
I will say that like it is true. For example, I got Bengali friends, and they're like not allowed to leave the house. Okay? There's some cultures that are like that.
Oh, for brown
those are
in the
people-
United States, like Hispanic people sometimes, depending on how traditional you are, can be like that.
Yes.
You have
Okay,
like big
but-
intergenerational houses, like grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, and aunt, and then like siblings, or like we'll live like in the same fucking house. Like have small houses too. Yeah.
And I recognize that, and that's cool. But I don't care about these people because they live in a reality that I don't give a fuck about. You know what I'm saying?
Based.
Like they're engaging in arranged marriages half the time. Like who cares what they think about
I don't
dating?
sign off on that, but-
They live in a different reality than you. Okay, their mom and dad comes to them like, hey, we found your husband, and they're like, okay. That's normal for them. So whatever they're doing, I don't care. For the rest of you guys who trying to get some pussy, I don't understand how you're trying to get laid. Unless you listen, I've met a dude before who like his mom said, yeah, bring the girls over, clap those cheeks, whatever. She used to give him condoms and stuff. Hey, listen, if your family's that progressive, congrats, okay? And maybe that's an exception. But even I know the fact that women would feel uncomfortable, especially past like the age of like 25, going back to your parents' place. What woman is just gonna sit there and be like, yeah, oh, you live with your mom and dad, let's go back. Like, most of them not gonna be down with that. So, I don't know, I just thought it was so crazy that people were like, that's an unfair expectation. I'm like, if you wanna fuck, get yourself some privacy. You don't even have to live by yourself, get roommates.
I will say though that standard might be changing though, because fucking rent in every city in the U.S. and up there too in your 3 cities in Canada, Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal is like getting unbelievable. Like you're like these Midwestern places. I think somebody just linked in Chicago. Like the median rent is like $2,000 a month. It's like holy fuck.
As the conversation turned to the progress of the
I don't
corruption,
disagree that it's becoming crazy.
Mary
I don't
was
disagree, but I
curious
think
to know which village
people got
had
mad
been
at the New York
attacked
Times
this
with an
time.
article that was just like, you guys struggling with the living situation? Here's
However,
a new
that
idea.
worry
Get
gave way
roommates.
to
And I'm like,
panic
bitch, we've been
when
doing
Lucy
that. Why are you
entered.
guys writing this like it's a brand new idea? But I think that's gonna have to be the solution for a lot of people. I think the whole idea of
Poor
living by yourself is
beasts, all slaughtered.
But again,
Maybe
you can't get home
something
fucking-
had
you
infected
can't get home
them.
fucking. I just
The
don't
corruption was on
Were
their
you allowed to fuck at
doorstep now.
My parents were gone before I started fucking, I think, because my dad moved out when I was 16 and my mom when I was 14. I lived with my grandma and I tried to fuck around that, but my grandma was also going senile, so sometimes she would just walk in and not notice. But that was a weird time in my life. It was embarrassing though. Yeah. But I moved out as soon as I hit 18, like I was gone.
Wait, stop. You were fucking and your grandma walked in?
Yeah, but she's like, it's hard to explain. She had Alzheimer's. She just was. There were times when I walked. Okay, this is like an example of how fucking weird the lights were out for a long time. Okay, I remember so I don't even know this dog. My grandma's a very weird person. Okay, she'd go through about one dog a year. So on one of these dogs that she had, I remember that this dog pissed all over her floor constantly. Okay, and I don't know why because I've never seen this dog pee ever inside of my entire life. And one night I heard it as I was going to the bathroom up too late.
Away from her child, cause worry even in the best of times. This was far from the best of times. It had been more than a year since Mark, Mary's eldest son, had gone to live in the monastery.
Oh my God, this
deep
dog is
in
about to
the
do an ass
forest.
beat tomorrow morning.
The
My
same
grandma's been doing it the whole
forest
time.
was
That's the type of
now
grandma I
the
live
source
with, okay?
of
That
such
makes any sense,
worrying
alright?
news.
Great twist. I didn't see that shit coming, bro.
Yeah,
That's a
she's
good story, bro.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if you ever do a live set one day, but if you ever do, tell that story. That's fire.
I got a lot of grandma stories, you know. But
I'm just saying, as a stand.
have you ever done the? I did the one
I
thing.
feel like I can tell when the twist is coming. I couldn't see that one coming.
Have you ever done the thing where you're fucking at a parent's house and somebody opens the door? People always have the thing where you know when a cat gets scared, like boom, it like jumps right up, like off the bed, like straight. Yeah. Have you ever had the thing where you're messing around with your significant other and parent opens the door and you two fly apart to separate ends of the room like faster than you thought humanly possible?
Nah.
Oh,
I never
shit.
even played that.
Yeah, that happened at my girlfriend's house sometimes in high school. One time, it was the worst experience in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, see, you tried it too many times, so I know that's how I know you're brave. Cause me, I did it one time, and you know what's fucked up? I didn't have a room. I just lived in the basement, which meant like the stairs just access to where I was.
Yeah, no fucking door even, or?
There's no door, so but I was so horny, and I was like, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
So I was fucking this girl, but it was so bad because the whole time I was fucking her, I just kept staring at the stairs and thinking like I heard somebody upstairs, so I was just terrified. So that's how I spent the whole 30 minutes just fucking her while looking at my stairs. And she did not like that shit at all, and I snuck her out of my place. I don't know if you're like this. I'm so terrified of my mom finding out I fucked. I live with my roommate. We were 2 hours away from my mom. And even when I masturbate, I have to close the door even if there's nobody else in the home because I always just get terrified someone's gonna walk in.
You ever do that thing where you're like in a hotel or you're home alone and you want to go poop or whatever? And you're like, I want to be brave, and you leave the door open and it still feels like really wrong.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah.
This is my house. I live here alone, but you still feel like it's just, yeah, I don't know what it is, man. It's just things that are burned so deep into our brains we just can't overcome them, huh?
Yeah, I can't make a lot of noise when I'm fucking. Like, I can talk to my person, but if she starts screaming, I'm like, bite the pillow because I don't want nobody. Even though there's nobody around, and I'm a grown one, I still have that mindset. This actually, I don't know if we discussed this, but this is I think where the whole sexual repression comes into place.
For men,
depending on
yeah.
like what kind of upbringing you had. I think even though you may change environments, a lot of that upbringing still carries over.
Bro.
How you view sex and how you engage. I can't be loud and.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You have to make an effort to do it. I don't know what the fuck it is, but women. Dude, women turn into fucking porn stars when you put them up against a thin wall. I don't know why. The loudest women I've ever been with in my life are when they're in my apartment and I know my neighbors here, or anytime I'm in a fucking hotel with events where there are like a ton of other people around me who know who the fuck I am. And in those situations, I don't know why, women will always be the loudest motherfuckers in the world. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Can you not just shut the fuck up for 1 second of your life? Like, holy shit, it is so obnoxious.
Sometimes you know what it is?
No.
They're
if you're about to say what I think you're gonna say, but go ahead.
They're peeing.
What? Okay, that was a twist I didn't see coming.
No, they're basically just like kind of marking their territory.
Oh, okay, now you want exactly. No, I don't think that's the case. I think it's just. I don't think so. But I understand what you're saying.
Listen, I mean, you know, maybe they just like making a lot of noise or something like that, but sometimes it does feel a little bit forced in some ways.
I need to make sure your neighbor knows that I. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hold up. Do you think that they'd be leaving stuff behind? Do you think they'd be leaving stuff behind on purpose?
Depends on what it is, but I know they'll take stuff.
A treasure rested above them,
locked behind
chance and memory.
They needed to
depends on the age of the people. If
stone,
you're talking about people in their 30s and shit, now if you're talking about some chick in her like early 20s, I could totally see her being like, I'm gonna open door and leave some hair bands here. Shit that like guys don't notice. But like another girl comes back, she's like, what the fuck is this hair thing? And you're like, I don't know, isn't that your hair thing? I know what every single thing that's ever touched my hair looks like. What bitch was over here? And you're like, oh shit, I don't know what your hair shit looks like. Oh fuck! Yeah, I know that younger girls will do that. I don't know about like girls in their 30s or late 20s. Like,
okay, do you have a pair of underwear at your place, or you don't know who it belongs to?
gee, me and Melina are fucking sluts, so at this point, probably several people's pairs of shit. Yeah. But I'm probably not the best example, but
I was looking at this pair of underwear I had, and I'm like, I don't know who this belongs to. And I had a suspicion who it did belong to, and so I kept thinking about Messenger, but every time I did, I'm like, what if I'm wrong?
yeah, not good.
Then I'm just in an awkward situation where she's just like, yo, who else have you been fucking? And I know you don't use condoms, so that's why I just didn't risk it.
Just burn them.
Yeah. I actually want to ask you this one last thing. When Russ talked to C kept bringing up matchmaking, what the fuck was she talking about?
Matchmaking in what context?
At the end, when she was talking about dating so hard, finding someone you're compatible with is so difficult. She kept bringing up matchmaking.
I don't even know.
Ah, fuck. That's what I wanted to ask. She was saying all the craziest stuff. At one point, she said something that I thought was hilarious. She's like, you know, guys, if you're struggling, just picture who you want to be with and just think about that. Think about what they would like. And you just go for that. What do you think about that advice?
It's cringe. It's like when people are like, oh, just be yourself. And it's like, bro, if be yourself was working, this person wouldn't be coming to you for advice. Like, what do you mean? I don't like platitudes like that. I think that it requires a little bit more thought.
Yeah. You know, you say this, and so I'm kind of just repeating it, but I agree in that the issue with the red pill people is sometimes they say things that are absolutely true that nobody really wants to admit.
Yeah.
So when people rail against everything they say, they're like, well, I can verifiably check that that's true.
Yeah.
So
As soon as you miss one of those, you've lost all trust. As soon as you say one thing, everybody's looking at you like, wait, what the fuck? You're lost it.
Yeah, and the issue I see is like, even though I don't subscribe to some of the crazy ideas these guys say, it's like, yo, it's absolutely true. Like, yeah, you should be working on
The
yourself.
further their
things.
quest
Women do look for
proceeded,
certain things. Like,
the
some
more
people are fighting against the
dangers
idea
there were to
that, you know,
face.
women care about
Even the
income
dead.
level.
Yeah,
women-
people
I'm
say some
like,
shit like,
guys,
yeah, people say some
it's
shit like,
okay.
they'll be like, a girl doesn't care how much money you make. It's like, okay, cool. Well, I know I can never listen to you about literally anything ever in my life for the rest of my life. So thank you for revealing yourself. Yeah.
It's the most basic shit. It's the listen. As a 17-year-old, I knew. As a high schooler, the reason why a lot of girls didn't want to fuck me, one, I was ugly and didn't have any game, which who has game at 17 generally? But two, it's like I had nothing else going for me. You can't be ugly and have nothing else. So I immediately knew to work on stuff. I made sure I had a job all the time. I made sure I had my own place. And instantly, everything changed after high school. If you're an ugly kid in high school, like you have to hope for things to get better afterwards in terms of everything else in your life because you can't change the way your face looks. So when I hear these people talk about this stuff, I'm like, there's no way you're actually dating, or there's no way you're actually dating consistently enough to be able to make these claims, because it doesn't bear out in reality. And the problem I have with people saying this kind of stuff and having an audience is like, they're basically lying to these people, selling them false hope.
Yeah.
And then when they get mad later on, because all the stuff they've been fed this whole time is not true, then of course they're going to be red pill. Of course they're
ultra red pill. Those are the people that go the hardest because they realize that like they're finally hearing that. I think that's like why Jordan Peterson and like Joe Rogan and even I don't know if I put Ben Shapiro in there, but like people like Jordan Peterson are able to pull like young men over to them so easily because these guys will speak to truths that people on the left will never want to acknowledge, that they're like terrified of acknowledging. And it's like, well, yeah, if you're going to hear somebody for the first time in your life, like holy shit, a lot of the things that Jordan Peterson says is like this guy's actually like understands life. You know, you instantly lost that whole crowd if you're not willing to speak to any of those issues.
Yeah, it's the same thing when the whole discussion came up about like the whole consent stuff. Like, active voicing and all this other stuff. Like, do you guys fucking know about it? Who are these women that are just proudly open and talking all the time? What majority of them? There's nobody out here even doing that shit. Who? And so when I was listening to the panel earlier, it's always one of those things where I question how much practical, because we don't have numbers on a lot of stuff. Okay, there's no stats.
Yeah, it's really hard to like study this 100%, you know? Yeah.
Right, and so I accept that. And so I'm like, at least have dating experience.
Sure.
At least be
Although
out
then
there
it gets really shitty because like you don't want to be like, because now you're getting into the weirdest like ego battle. Like how many women have you fucked? Like what do you like that? It's like toxic as fuck to even go down that road of trying to like pull credentials on like dating shit, you know? And to be fair too, people's experiences are gonna like wildly vary based on where they're at in life, you know, what culture they're in and everything too. So it gets really hard to figure out who's actually got a better, you know, like key in reality or whatever.
Sure, but if we don't have any stats or anything else to rely on, all we have are people's experiences. That's it.
You need to at least have some experiences.
Like, if we don't have nothing that's objectively true in terms of like verifiable facts, we have to rely on something. And so everybody's basically talking about experience. But if you're somebody who has little to no experiences, then why is there freedom out? Everything is just theoretical, which is great. But until you apply it in reality, then you can't see how any of this stuff works or doesn't. It's like when people just tell me, like, yeah, women will just love it if you're direct. Just say things directly to them. That's how they like it. Like, have you tried to just say things rough and tough to ladies? Sometimes it's just like they like a little bit of tension, like a little bit of uncertainty in regards to what they're saying, so that it creates a bit of romance. Because that's what romance is. Romance is tension. It's very rarely direct, like, I want to fuck you. No, it's the implied stuff that they like. And so I've tried everything. Let me rephrase. I haven't tried everything. I've tried a lot of the stuff that people prescribe. Have you tried the whole, like, I really want to have sex with you? Have you tried that a few times?
I've tried being very straightforward and very open. I actually think it works pretty well, but it also might be the type of person that I'm typically going into.
Tired of being called shady,
it's
he instead
difficult because
adopted
like
the
not everybody will
title
have the confidence
Mysterious
for it, or because
Shopkeeper.
or because people are kind of cringe about doing it. Like for they're like I probably won't have like a oh these are all, here's a list of what I'm okay with and here's a list of what you're okay with and now let's go from there. But like you can do things like if you sex with somebody, like you can get an idea like oh this is probably what this person is into, probably what they're not into or whatever, stuff like that. It's not going to be as like as formal as like filling out consent forms, but there are conversations you can have.
Right. So let me ask you: have there been times where you've tried to be direct and it hasn't worked out?
And it hasn't worked out.
You can't have a 100% success rate. That's
Well, the thing is that like usually by the time I've gotten to that point, I'm usually like pretty like I don't have a 100%.
Then you are direct. Then that's not being direct. Essentially, what you're doing is that you're walking to the you're trying to breadcrumb the horse to the water. Then right beside the water, you're like, you want to drink it, don't you?
Well, what
That's
I'm saying,
not-
well,
that's
hold
not
on, wait,
being
wait,
direct.
hold on, wait. Hold on. What I'm saying is that like I don't have a 100% success rate with everyone that I'm talking to. That's true. But by the time I've gotten a woman to a point where we're talking about sex, I'm usually pretty sure this is like we're on the same page. I think is there. So like my first conversation with him was not going to be sex, but once we've gotten to the point where we're both talking about it, it's pretty sure it's going to happen. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So then I agree with you. But again, that's not the same thing. That's not the
Sure.
same thing. When they're talking about be upfront with their intentions, that's not what they're referring to. They're not talking about where you get to such a comfort level where now they're breaching the topic of sex is cool. Because no, that could take 3 to 4 conversations. That could take a bit of time. It's very rare on the first conversation you're going to just jump in with them. My whole point is, even though these kind of things sound great in theory, when you actually try to do that, it's not going to work. It's not gonna work, man. I've had the funniest rejections as a result of trying some of the goofy stuff that I read up online, because I was just like, everyone says this is the right way an ethical way to do stuff. Let me try it, and then I come to find out these people don't even do the very stuff that they claim that you should be doing. So I don't know. For me, when I hear people say, "Oh, I do that," I'm like, "Do you actually?" And if you're being honest, how many conversations in do you start breaching the topic of sex and go very directly?
Super depends on how the person has contacted me. Like when I did like dating apps, which I haven't done since I've gotten to Miami, so it might be different here. But in dating apps, it would be like within like the first like 5 to 10 messages. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm after on Tinder. If you're not, whatever, that's chill. Just like being straightforward, because I didn't want to waste time like trying to play some dumb dance and then the person's not interested in just hooking up or whatever. So I would be like pretty straightforward there. But
Generous
otherwise, yeah, it's
mushroom
gonna depend on how. If it's like
was
a friendship
vital
that
to
graduates
any
into something
concoction
sexual, then I'll probably
with
get
the
there.
purpose
But
of
if it's a
healing.
girl
Kill a dog
messaging
now.
me and she
While
seems like
naturally
pretty off the bat, I'm
poisonous,
probably gonna
any
pretty
skilled
quickly just
roommate could extract
Right,
the
right.
important
So when you're being
properties
super direct,
without
like,
danger.
you're saying it, like, listen, this is what I'm looking for. How many times are you like, nah, I'm not interested?
Fuck. I might not be. I feel like I can usually tell. If I'm asking, it's almost like a court thing. If I'm asking, the answer is gonna be yes. But that's because I can tell that's. But like if a girl's not interested, I'm probably not gonna ask because I can already tell she's not interested. I don't know if that makes.
No, that doesn't make any sense. You've matched with the girl, you breach up the topic like, hey, this is what I'm looking for.
If she says, if she's not looking for the same thing, then that's just like that's a 50, well, not 50-50, but some girls are just like, oh, like I'm not looking, or like I'm trying to find like somebody to date or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, and then we're done talking, right?
Okay, so that happens to you.
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
the majority.
I'm not crazy.
Oh yeah. The majority of
Steven,
conversations on
fucking
Tinder.
bitch.
The majority of conversations, in the ones that match with me, and you already start chatting. If I'm like, okay, hey, just so you know, like I'm literally either dating. Back then, it was dating or engaged with somebody. I'm looking for like hookup related stuff or like friends with benefits, whatever. If you're not okay with that, then just like the majority of those be like, oh no, I'm looking for something more serious, and that would be over. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So thankful. Thank you. I was like, bro, there's no way you're having magical results. Okay.
No, yeah,
so,
yeah.
you experience what everyone else does. Now, if I'm a dude who struggles with dating, okay, and I'm hearing this be direct stuff, okay, and I'm already having a hard time, and I'm being told to be direct, what do you think any of this advice does to help me actually get laid?
Yeah, I guess it's going to depend, because I view a lot of that advice as like, this is the advice that's coming after you've already, like, it's either for people you're dating or people you've got like pretty far in with conversations. If this is stuff that you're using like open conversations, you're probably pretty fucked, I would imagine. It's not.
What do you mean?
Like the whole like be direct thing, I thought was like a manner of having sexual conversations, not like this is what you do to even get to have sexual conversations. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, no, the way I kind of understood that advice is basically like, just be upfront with your intentions with women. Don't wait till you're going on dates or all this other stuff. You know, you should know right away. That's how I understood it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, I'm, you can be open like that, but you're, yeah, you're gonna, yeah. It just, I guess it depends on when you're applying this. When I think of like the whole be open stuff, I'm applying it at the level of like, I'm ready to have sexual conversations, now how do I want to have it? There's like two ways to basically go about that. Like if I feel like this is probably, I think I'm probably clear for takeoff here. You could be like, hey, do you want to like get drinks tomorrow? And then that's it. Or you be like, hey, like you want to get drinks tomorrow, like afterwards we can hook up if you want or something like that. That's how, that's where I feel like when that gets implemented, is at that stage of the conversation. Not like I'm first talking to somebody and I'm telling them immediately, like, hey, this is my sexual preference, like, do you accept, you know? That would be some hyper-aggressive.
Yeah, and you mentioned the fact that you're a streamer. Why do you use cheat codes?
Well, for me personally, because that's the last 13 years of my life has been streaming. If I wasn't a streamer, I would be a fucking, I would have nothing to talk about. Like, that'd be like, people always say that, I don't know if you've said that, or if we talked about this before, but people are like, oh, you talk about you're a streamer. Okay, well, if you're 32 or 33, I mean, like, I imagine you would talk about your career. You're either a programmer, engineer, lawyer, something successful you've done. Like, yeah, of course I'm going to talk about like the job I've had for the more than a decade of my life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but you also have to admit that's a bit of a cheat code. It's like you coming on, putting in your profile like I'm rich. You don't feel like that's unethical?
I mean, if you're rich, you put you're rich. But like, I don't know if, honest to God, I don't know if being a streamer helps that much. Unless you're,
Shut
I
the
think
fuck
if you're
up,
like
you
an
lying
Instagram
sack of
influencer, I
shit.
think it would help
You
more.
are
The
ugly
vast
as
majority
fuck.
of
You are
girls-
tiny, dude. You are
this is
5'3".
The few
You
girls
got
that
a
I've
pot
talked
belly.
to
Ain't no
on
girl,
Twitter,
and you hook
they
up
have
with
heard
super
of
fine
Twitch.
girls
There
all the
was only
time.
two
Of
girls
course,
that
it's
ever
because
actually
you're a
heard of Twitch.
streamer.
Well, no,
You
there were a
idiot.
couple of like gamer girls, and for that it definitely helped. Like go all the way. Which
Oh
was nice.
god, how full of yourself do you have to be to think
Like they
that
had like
literally is
Twitch
the
streamers
case?
and shit. So they were
That
like,
you
oh,
just
shit,
figured
like,
out
so-
the
and that
fucking,
was, like,
you've unlocked the cheat code, my guy.
But for other girls that didn't have like Twitch streams or whatever, they'd be like, Twitch, oh shit, that's like where the girls do like the hot tub stuff. Like that's literally all they knew about it. I think at this point I'm probably better
There
off saying
could
I'm big
not
on
have
YouTube,
been
but I don't think
a
I was
more
like 4 years ago,
perfect
enough to put it
description
in
of
a
this
Tinder
route
profile,
than
but
its
I don't think
name.
Twitch helps so much.
Cave
Let me
web.
ask you then. All right, this is my final
Rather
question.
bland to the
Within,
taste,
okay, so Twitch,
still
Twitch is its
edible
own world. There's
and
famous Twitch streamers,
full of
Do you think it's
nutrients.
acceptable for male Twitch streamers who are huge to fuck female Twitch streamers who are small?
As long as everybody's on the up and up, I think almost anybody can fuck anybody. As long as you're not like in a direct position of power, then I think it's fine.
But aren't you in a direct position of power, considering how much influence you have on the platform? You can literally make or break her career.
I mean, you could, but like, I mean, like you could for anybody, right? Like, it's not if they like worked for you or something, then that would be fucked. But if you're just like on the same platform, then no, I don't think so.
Hold up. When you say work for you in the sense that, like, you control like their access to opportunities to some degree, or whatever, right? Well, you could pretty much give the bitch a promotion.
If
You know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
if you were like flaunting it like that, then it gets a lot. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say it gets hairy. I think some people say that it's wrong to float the offer in front of somebody, but I mean, like, if you're both adults and you know what the fuck is going on, you probably shouldn't do it because it's immoral for like external reasons, but I wouldn't say it's inherently exploitative. I would say it would be immoral on the part of the person offering, like, hey, I'll host you and do this shit if you fuck me, and it would be immoral on the part of the person, like, oh, I'll fuck you if you give me the host. I think both of those would be like pretty equally immoral. So the immorality would be the damage to the integrity of the industry or your business model, not like anybody exploiting anybody, I think.
Has anybody tried to fuck you for a come up?
No, I wish. The problem is I'm not connected that well. So like if you're trying to fuck me to climb in your career, I'm the last stop, okay? You would have to go through other people to get to me, and then I'm the top because I'm not like super connected to the Twitch crowd. I'm not super. I guess I'm connected to you now a little bit. So maybe girls will fuck me to get to you, but otherwise, yeah, I'm not the best like clout fuck in the world, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, listen, you've answered all my questions, and I'm glad we could come to some kind of consensus. I broke 3 keyboards during that live stream, so I'm gonna ask you for a refund on 2 of them.
Okay,
Bro, the fact that you thought I was so mad was making me laugh. Everyone's like, "Oh, Abba's multi."
No, I always say that half joking, but YouTube chat was mad. Sorry.
I won't lie though. I do get annoyed a lot when I hear women talk about like these guys who are helping their dating odds. Like that shit always rubs me the wrong way. And for viscerally, I don't think it's a good thing that it rubs me the wrong way, but it does. Because I just feel like they're just so out of touch with like what dudes struggle with. So I don't know. It always sets me off when I hear their delusional advice.
Yeah, I mean, but how hard I push is going to depend on who I'm talking to. Like, if I end up going on Fresh and Fit, I'm probably going to come off as like an ultra fucking progressive lefty person. But if I'm almost,
you sounded pretty red pill today.
Yeah, today I did, but that's because it was like another super lefty guy in the call. But like, if I'm arguing with super lefty people, I'm going to come off as like fucking ultra red pill, black pill or something.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Since it's on the topic of all that stuff, do you think it's acceptable that there's a dynamic that men can sleep around and women can't?
No, I think it's a shitty dynamic for a variety of reasons. I understand why it exists though, but I don't like it.
Why do you?
Bellagio the Odd sought another game of cat and bird.
I super am turned off by the prospect of fucking virgins. This is that sounds mean to say, but like it's generally not as good as fucking people with more experience.
But you don't feel like the future is influence?
Further, she fled.
As long as everybody's like being responsible, safe, protect yourself from STDs, get tested, all that shit, I don't give a fuck.
Okay. So you don't feel like that makes you a bit of a cuck or a simp?
Do not linger.
By definition, absolutely not. I'm literally in a fucking open marriage. I mean, what are you asking me?
Hold it up here and it's not up here.
Also, if people want to be doing a cuck shit or whatever, I think that's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. Whatever your sexual fetish shit is.
Bellagio fled further.
I think that there's like a whole line of thought to go down here, but like it's kind of at a dead end because people are very emotionally dug in. Like my argument, I would say that like, any guy that is
gone.
the
creature disappeared.
Is immensely insecure. If you want to have it on your own, if you want to be like a monogamous relationship, or you want to be the girl that hasn't fucked many people, that's your right, I guess. But I think that men are just like I'm really competitive by nature, and I think a lot of men are very like threatened by nature. So like a lot of guys like, why do you care if your woman's fucked a lot of other dudes? Oh well, because maybe they had a bigger dick than me, or blah blah. Like I think that's what they're thinking 99% of the time. They might cope with some shit like, oh well, I want it to be special or blah 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 some shit. I don't think it is. I think it's usually because like anytime they fuck their girl, they're just seeing all the other guys that girl's fucked, and they're worried that they're not gonna measure up. That's what I feel like it is. But I mean, I could be wrong.
Well, I think it's just a status thing. It's like if you get a car off the lot, and it's brand new, you don't want other people to be driving it because that's your car. So
I mean, you don't want people to drive it while you have a car. But again, like even that analogy, the idea like what, like somebody with miles on them is like a fundamentally worse person. Like I just think that's like it's so weird.
Yeah, that would be the argument. It's like the car has more mileage, therefore it's more useless and it's about to be thrown out. So you want a car with less mileage. Yeah,
but like if a guy car has more mileage, it's better, or?
Yes, because men and women are different.
Yeah, I don't know. I just fundamentally disagree. But I mean, I understand why people think
none of them. Men and women are different.
No, they're different, but I fundamentally disagree. Like in the car analogy, I'd rather have somebody with more miles on them than like people that are virgins at like 25 or 30. That's very fucking weird to me. And it would be like the sex probably just wouldn't be as good. But also, I'm like big on like performance and stuff, and not just like the experience of like getting to fuck a virgin. So I don't know. I'm speaking derogatorily. I think everybody can have their own.
But I think you're using you're being a utilitarian right now, where you're just seeing like the utility of the thing, and you're being like, oh my god, well if she fucks everywhere, she gets better, so it's good for me. While other people think of their partners as not just their partners and the mother of their kids, but also like status symbols. And so I think when you think about value and things like that.
Yeah, but why the value of somebody that like? Fuck, hold on. It's really hard not for me to load these statements because they're gonna sound really derogatory. But like, it just sounds to me like an insecurity thing. Like you're so worried that this person's gonna let you. Why? Because you think they're better than you, or like it almost sounds like you're trying to trap a girl and be like, oh, I love this chick. She hasn't been with a single other guy, so I know she'll be happy with me. Like that just seems really weird to me. Like I don't know.
Right.
Wherever there was a secret,
irrespective of how you feel about
knowledge was to be gained. In
most guys do, yeah, probably, yeah.
And wherever there was a reward, danger lurked. The cipher was important enough that it brought Grandma here.
Yeah, they probably would. A lot of guys do. People call me a cuck
lucky,
and shit all the time.
Grandma
Yeah,
exclaimed with her
not under any
unique sense of
illusions,
humor.
Right. And you might not care about it because you're kind of mentally broken, okay? But other guys would care about it.
Yeah, of course, probably. Yeah, for sure.
If a dude was dating a girl,
I mean, how many
even
times?
if
Yeah, a
he
guy
wanted to be
finds
as
out like,
open-minded.
how many times a guy finds out like, oh my god, like this girl fucked one of my friends. Like I can't be with her anymore. You know? Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
Shit like this all the time. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and so I think as a result, that's why folks. So if you have to take yourself out of it, and we had to look at it from a more large-scale perspective, and you're speaking to most men, you'd have to kind of look at it differently, no?
Yeah, well, yeah, you were asking me my opinion. If you want me to speak for most men, yeah, I think most men probably value fewer sexual partners in a woman and everything.
Well, if I'm a man who's watching a content creator, okay, and I want somebody to help me through my insecurities and stuff like that, I wouldn't go to you because you're kind of like just different.
Yeah, sure, but
So
I mean,
your
why?
advice
But like,
wouldn't
I mean,
really-
you would go to another guy to just reinforce your insecurities. Like, I mean, a lot of people probably do, but like, oh yeah, like this guy's telling me everything I need to hear about how insecure I am about my partner potentially having other partners. Like, I don't know, this is kind of sad, but.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, I understand that's how a lot of people think. Like,
Well, there you go. I try to steel man their position as best as I could. Hopefully it was effective. I know YouTube chat's like, oh my god, that was so disgusting. I don't think they realize I'm behaving like fresh and fit.
You're good. I hope they call me a cuck. That's good. I'm going on the girls' night
You
thing
are
after,
a
so
cuck.
I'm gonna
You
fuck
are a cuck.
every single
That's
fucking
right.
girl on that show. Okay, I'm gonna be
Do
orgying.
you have any
all of
idea
them.
their live stream
I'm
chat?
gonna bring fucking Melina with me at the end, and we're gonna be fucking orgying with every girl. That
Oh
shows
wait,
up
no,
on
hold
that
on,
show,
hold on. Melina's going with you?
No, I don't think she is, but it'd be funny. But they would fucking hate her, so.
That's hilarious. Yeah, you should definitely open up the whole thing. Be like, listen, I let my girl get fucked by other dudes.
Yeah, she might be fucking somebody right now. Yeah.
That if you open with that, I'm telling you
They're gonna
right now,
lose it 100%.
they're gonna lose it from
Yeah.
that point on. But anyways, man, listen, you have fun doing your thing, and it's always a pleasure talking, man.
Yeah, I love everybody. Be careful. Okay.
Peace.
Gunfights with untrained liberals? Come on, I can only get so hard. Hashtag Civil War. And then the next response is, you're a vet, so you'll probably kill yourself with a gun before you get anywhere near the combat.
Oh, you know.
What was his tweet in response?
Yeah, I would like to start. You know, so section 1 kind of outlines, you know, your beautiful racism that we've got going on here.
Based.
Your Kyle Rittenhouse simping.
Based.
Section 2 is your league perversions. Really concerned about.
Gotcha.
And then section 3 is, you know, not even sure. It kind of devolves from there. Let's maybe start at section 3.3. Evidence 3.3.
Are you trying to trigger me
submitted.
preemptively? Why would we start a doc at section 3.3 instead of 1.1? Just curious.
Well, I would like to begin asking you questions at evidence 3.3.
Okay. This is to trigger me. Gotcha. That's fine. Okay. We're 3.3 it is then. All right. What would you like to? How would you like to begin?
Well, maybe you could start by just reading the tweets out for all of us, just so we're all on the same page.
Okay. Hold on. Stay there. Hold on. I'm sorry. This is. You have like my favorite tweets from all time listed here. I'm sorry. Let me get.
Yeah, your mic's a little bit fucky on my end. Is it coming through strange? Am I coming through on your end poorly?
No, you sound great. Okay, I'm scrolling down. Oh, I can just Control F. 3.3.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay. If you'd like to open, so I've provided both the imagery or the link, whichever you'd prefer to utilize. If you could just maybe walk us through, read it out for us.
Okay. Refer to me. So I'm responding to. I can't see the full tweet I'm responding to, but what I can see is refer to me as and think of. When I look at like Reckful's last day of talking to people, I think he was saying like, all right, guys, like I'm going to go offline and then I'm going to, you know, try to find something to watch and fall asleep. I don't know. I could be hearing this maybe, or I could be like totally inventing this. I acknowledge it. But when I hear him talk, he makes so many big reads on people without
hyper intellectualize them. So
Jesus.
What's your interpretation of it?
that consciousness creates reality. It's what the yogis have been saying for thousands of years.
This is so wrong, but
Okay.
I think that is fundamentally different. That is such a different experience than you wake up, the sun is shining, you don't really have anything to worry about, but it feels like there's just like an elephant standing on your chest, and you have no idea why. You have no idea. You don't have any problems. Nothing is really going on that's bad. You don't have anything to look forward to that's going on. Like, everything should be fine. But there's just like there's like something like sitting on your chest. And that kind of anxiety, I think, I hate. This is always one of my biggest like criticisms of psychology. He recorded this months ago.
I haven't seen any of these, but obviously I'm going to be judging the decision to try to treat him. I know Dr. K will claim that he was not trying to treat him, but I think he was. So the decision to continue to see him for online sessions,
It's like a ribbit.
interviews, knowing he was suicidal, I'm obviously going to be judging that a little more harshly, knowing that he did eventually kill himself.
We good?
Yeah, man. So tell me, I've been living under a rock for many years, but
Yeah.
Stream Chat is telling me that you're the guy, you're Wreckful Gladiator, right?
Yes.
That's you. Yeah. So I guess that makes me a fan, but from like a decade ago.
Yeah, that's most of my viewers. They're a fan from a decade ago.
So tell
That's
me
interesting.
What are we talking about today, buddy?
Well,
And what am I calling you Wreckful?
You can call me Byron if you want.
What do you?
But yeah, I've dealt with depression my whole life, pretty much. I mean, since I was like 14, and I'm 30
Okay.
now.
Okay.
And a bunch of people in my chat were telling me I should call you.
Okay.
So here I am.
Okay.
It's actually starting to get better just recently, because I'm like working on a project with some friends, and it gives me a sense of purpose, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead.
What's the project? And by the way, so a couple of ground rules. So I'm a psychiatrist, but I can't treat your depression over the internet. And by the way, so a couple of ground
All
rules.
right, so in the first 30 seconds, he's already telling him that it's starting to get better. Don't worry about me. I can handle it on my own. I think Wreckful's a people pleaser. That, based on what he said and based on his mannerisms.
Yeah, okay. Talk a little. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh Jesus. Is this the first exposure that Max has to Byron's conversations? Because you could read Byron as a people pleaser, but there's like a few other ways you could read that too. It might just be the case that, one, he could be trying to alleviate Dr. K's concerns, like, oh, you don't have to treat me, right? We don't have to. It could be the case that he doesn't want to talk about his depression. Number two, sorry, I just read something in chat. TDS is Trump derangement syndrome, not the Donald syndrome. Sorry, I don't know why I was saying the Donald syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome. It could be the case that he genuinely is like being treated. He doesn't want to waste his time talking. There's a few different reasons why he could say that. Like, that's a pretty big jump to like automatically do like he's a people pleaser. I always get worried when Max makes assumptions like this, because I don't know if he's going to be locked into that now for like the rest of his video viewing, and it's going to inhibit his ability to see other things. But we'll see.
1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Should be good. All right. Yeah, you can ask whatever you want, and if I don't want to answer it on stream,
don't
I just
answer.
won't, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So tell me, what do you mean by depression? Let's start there.
Well, I've been diagnosed with bipolar type 2. And when I was 6, my brother killed himself. He also had it.
How old was he?
He was 21. It's a very big age gap.
Okay.
And then because of that, when I've gone to get treated, they never give me SSRIs. I've never tried an SSRI. Because he's tried an SSRI, and then that happened after.
Okay.
Prozac.
Okay. Okay.
And I've tried a couple things. I've tried like I was on a really high dose of lithium at one point.
How did that make you feel?
Very bland. Yeah, the same thing people always say, like kind of dead. You know, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then God, I've tried a bunch of other ones, but they're not super memorable. One of them gave me like some eye pain, so I had to stop taking it because I was really sensitive to light. Maybe you know which one I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because I was really sensitive to light. Maybe you know which one I'm talking about.
Okay.
I don't know. I tried a bunch of different ones. This is like 14 years ago, most of it. So now I don't really remember.
Okay.
But
Has medication ever been helpful?
I hope you guys got mad.
So the only thing that's been really helpful is when I was in Amsterdam, I took psilocybin, and it really worked for me.
You know, so this is fascinating.
The
so
creature
FDA
that now
just
threatened
Dr.
the
K is talking about
was a
the FDA.
crudely
He's talking about
focused
medication.
inferno of
He's asking him
hatred
about
and
his reaction to
malice.
different drugs. This is a medical conversation. He is claiming he is not acting as a medical professional, but Reckful knows that Dr. K is in fact a doctor when he's having this conversation.
It's such
One
an intense
raging
feeling. It's
beast
kind of hard
was
to,
not
to
enough,
explain, but
and surely
it let me get out of these
two
like
were.
thought loops that I was in that were causing me to be sad.
Okay.
Yep.
And I just step back and see things in a new perspective.
Okay. So today is supposed to be a stream about meditation, and Rackful, I'm going to ask you a couple of other questions. But if it's okay with you guys, we're going to talk about that and like what's happening in your mind, and why psilocybin is helpful, and how you can cultivate that sensation without using psilocybin.
Okay.
So the first thing is like this phrase, a thought loop, I love. So why don't you explain to people what is a thought loop?
Okay, you'd explain it
Letting
better.
Final
but
rasping breath.
just certain
The
things.
second
You're
beast
going along through your
became
day, and a
motionless.
certain thing happens, and
The
it
poor
always causes you
creatures,
to think in the
twisted
same
by the corruption,
pattern
were
of
finally
a certain negative
able to
feeling at
rest.
the end. And I
Have
always
to
hear it
be
described
cleared
as
of the corruption and the
it's
jewel
like
of life to
an
be
icy
restored.
mountain with the sleds.
the
Like a lot of
realm
sleds have
of
gone
Anea
down,
Dia,
and then there's these
mother of
patterns that form that
beasts,
your mind tends
the
to go down one of
goddess
these
of
paths
waters.
of the sled.
Before
And then when you're on
embarking for the
psilocybin,
spirit
it
halls,
seems like it
however,
doesn't. It's just
the
kind of free
family
to
must be
think
informed
whatever.
Yeah, so-
of the newly opened passage.
Okay. Yeah, so let's talk about thought loops for a second. So the first thing to understand is
Okay, 4 minutes and 43 seconds in. If I were talking to Reckful, if I were his therapist, or if I were trying to be his fake therapist, where I'm at with him is that Reckful has a lot of trouble expressing anger. He's a people pleaser. He's nice. He's
Oh man. Oh dude. Fuck. I feel like I always take sides against Max in conversations. So I'm trying to look for areas where I can like support what he's saying. I don't want to do what I'm about to do. What he just did, but no, I don't think I am. I think I can make my statement with better judgment.
While painful for a mother to see her son in sickness was still better than missing him for so long, Mary knew that she would make caring for Mark her mission. Mark had to warn them about the dangers approaching, despite how difficult it was to talk. He started naming the villages that were evacuated, or worse, taken over by the corruption, but soon succumbed to fatigue and fell asleep. Mary recalled hearing of an herbalist in Caldipo Caves that would have the yarrow at hand needed to treat Mark. The Bergsons would once again need to brave the treacherous caves in search of the herbalist. The goblin siblings lay dead, and the pilgrims were now safer in their caves. But the last step remained to be taken. The warriors knew only that somewhere in the expanse of the caves was the ancient halls of the spirit who would reveal new truths to them. Mark was out of the woods now. His fever gone, he was almost up and about. "Welcome back, brother," said Kevin. He had avoided conflict over the years, living in harmony with nature. But as Uncle Ben was fond of saying, a Bergson would forget how to walk before they forget how to fight.
Hand-to-hand combat with this one guy, huh? Okay. Animal shelter unlocked.
It seemed like Kevin and Lucy discovered the animal pen that Uncle Ben had constructed sooner than they were supposed to. This new level of cooperation between animals of the wild and the Bergsons would surely please Rhea.
Okay. Left in the dungeon, treat animals are delayed and boosted. Okay. These animals seek shelter with the Bergsons. Select the animal's happiness level and boost they provide can be viewed in the panel. Give treats. Okay. Okay. So you just made me give him that. I don't even like cats, bro. XP gain. Yes, we could have gave 2 treats to XP boy. Dodge chance. Nah, we ain't worried about that. Boom. That's a good boy. Yeah, it's a good boy. 10%. Okay. Let's heal the dog, bro.
She knew where it was coming from. Her ancestors had spoken of such corruption flooding down the mountain. But Grandma Margaret wanted to know what it was and what needed to be done to destroy it.
Tell me, Grandma Margaret. We'll go get her. Got efficiency, increase. I like that. Little extra gold. Overtime will pay for itself, right? Armor. Speed, man. Yeah, go attack again.
Whenever he could find time, Mark was reading about herbs and salves, his interest in medicine inherited from his grandmother.
Anything else going on? No. We vibing. Get back to cracking down.
So here's a piece of advice that I, as a loser fucking streamer, would
was
give
to be
to
found in the
therapists
darkest
and people in
depths
general.
of the Caldipo
And I think it's
caves.
one of the reasons why
For a
sometimes people
spirit
get
to
turned
leave
off
her
by
domain,
therapy or by
though,
talking to people
no
is
simple task.
it's really, really important to be able to listen to people. And jumping to huge conclusions about why people act the way they do is probably one of the biggest turnoffs in talking to people. Whether you're talking about talking to a therapist or a friend or somebody else, that idea of like 5 minutes into a conversation, like, oh, this person is definitely a big people pleaser, I can tell that he blah blah. It's like, well, hold on. Like, there could be a lot of other things going on. I don't know if we have all the information to make a statement like that strong yet. I think we need to collect way more data, not 5 seconds into a conversation. There's no way that you truly can ascertain that much of a person's personality. You have problems expressing anger? I don't buy that. I think that's way too strong a statement to make this early on in the conversation. But
it's anxious, and I would probably assume that at some point I need Reckful to get mad at me. I need to let him get mad at me, maybe even make him mad at me, and then I need to show him that it's okay for him to be mad at me. It's okay for him to be so mad that he hangs up on me. He tells me, fuck you, I never want to see you again.
I also, and maybe some of you are like this, I'm a pretty intelligent person, and, well, let me back up. You have mental health issues and you're used to people trying to like peg you very quickly as a certain thing. You can also probably tell when people have pegged you as a certain thing. And if you feel like somebody is going in a certain direction and they've already made up their mind about you, I think it's very easy to just stop engaging with the person and like not like be like, oh, okay, you think this about me? Like, fuck you. Like, I'm not even gonna try to, like, there's no point. And trying to railroad somebody down when in like 5 minutes you think you've already figured out like the key problems they have, trying to railroad them down that path is probably the worst possible thing you can do. If I had to guess, and this is going by like my experience with like 2 therapists and then just a little bit of common sense, I hate to say that, but like experience talking to people, my guess is going to be, and it's strange because I feel like Max has even said this before, my guess is going to be that for a good therapist, probably your entire first session is just going to be you sharing information to them without them really being able to say much at all. That would be like my guess. Like you're not going to be like in 6 minutes like, oh yeah, like you probably got this and this and I can help you with this. It's probably going to be like an hour of like you just like, oh well, tell me about your childhood, tell me about this, tell me about that, tell me about that, tell me about that, you know. That would be my guess.
And then the next week at our next scheduled session, I am still there. That is my impression based on the little I've seen.
Are you saying Dr. K is doing that? Well, no, I'm saying that's what you should be doing. It seems like Dr. K is just chatting right now. Dr. K seems like he's pretty good at having chill No, actually, no. He pushes pretty hard. He tries to get to something in about an hour and a half. He really does push. But it feels like he's generally just when he does it. I mean, like, there's room for criticism of how Dr. K functions, though, for sure. I'm not going to say he's beyond reproach. But this here of, like, Max trying to, like, have everything figured out of, like, Byron's, like, big problems, like, 5 minutes in, that's way too early. It's way too early to make those big assumptions about somebody, I think. But let's see.
Of Dr. K so far. Just, I think, one full session with Melina and some short clips.
Wait, Max is just saying that that's where he is at, not that he's right about it? Well, Max is... Hold on. You're wrong. I'm sorry. Hold on. Max is saying that he's figured this much out about Byron, and if he was having a conversation with him, this is what he would say and try to do because he's figured out Byron's problems. That's what he's saying. That's just his impression. No, hold on. You're wrong. Sorry. I'm insta-banning. I'm not going to argue with fucking, like, retards on my channel. Sorry. I don't need like I don't have time to go through and like walk you through like basic conversational shit. Sorry, you figure that out on your own time.
I do not think that he is going to allow that. I don't think he's going to let anyone get mad at him. Also based on the reaction of his fans, that I said I was upset with him, and there's no sense of like, oh,
Max isn't saying he's figured out Byron's problem, just that he has a basic read on some basic conversational aspects of his personality. No, you're wrong. When you say like this is a person that avoids confrontation, he has no basis to say that yet. That hasn't been established. You need way more in a conversation to figure out if somebody's avoidant of confrontation. There's no way that in a few minutes you've already figured out like, oh, this person needs to be made angry. Like you just don't have enough information for that yet. You don't.
Well, yeah, of course. He welcomes negative feedback and negative emotions. You can be mad at Dr. K. That's a totally natural response. I don't get that. I get frantic, almost freakish defensiveness and protectiveness. Well, I am mad. And yeah, so I guess we'll see where he goes with that.
He explicitly says he wouldn't say those things to Reckful. Okay, we're going to re-listen to this entire thing. Sorry. Because it sounded to me like he said, if I was talking to him, this is what I would say. Hold on, Pixel Fish is also getting permabanned if this is not the case. Because it sounds explicitly like he said, if I was talking to him, this is what I would say.
Okay.
Prozac.
Okay. Okay.
And I've tried a couple things. I've tried like I was on a really high dose of lithium at one point.
How did
and
that
then,
make you feel?
Very bland. Yeah, the same thing people always say, like kind of dead. You know, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then God, I've tried a bunch of other ones, but they're not super memorable. One of them gave me like some eye pain, so I had to stop taking it because I was really sensitive to light. Maybe you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I don't know. I tried a bunch of different ones. This is like 14 years ago, most of it. So now I don't really remember.
Okay.
But
Has medication
okay,
ever been helpful?
So the only thing that's been really helpful is when I was in Amsterdam, I took psilocybin, and it really worked for me.
You know, so this is fascinating. So the FDA
Okay, we're 3 minutes in,
just
and Dr.
today-
K is talking about the
Who
FDA. He's
could have
talking about medication.
possessed
He's asking him about his
such
reaction to different drugs. This is a medical conversation. He is claiming he is not acting as a medical professional, but Reckful knows that Dr. K is in fact a doctor, and he's just having this conversation.
It's such an intense feeling. It's kind of hard to explain, but it let me get out of these like thought loops that I was in that were causing me to be sad.
Yep.
And I just step back and see things in a new perspective.
Okay. So today's supposed to be a stream about meditation, and Reckful, I'm going to ask you a couple of other questions. But if it's okay with you guys, we're going to talk about that and like what's happening in your mind and why psilocybin is helpful and how you can cultivate that sensation without using psilocybin.
Okay.
So the first thing is like this phrase, a thought loop, I love. So why don't you explain to people what is a thought loop?
Okay, you'd explain it better. but just certain things, you're going along through your day, and a certain thing happens, and it always causes you to think in the same pattern of a certain negative feeling at the end. And I always hear it described as, it's like an icy mountain with the sleds. A lot of sleds have gone down, and then there's these patterns of form that your mind tends to go down one of these paths of the sleds. And then when you're on psilocybin, it seems like it doesn't. It's just kind of free to think whatever.
Yeah, so... Okay, yeah, so let's talk about thought loops for a second. So the first thing to understand is...
Okay, 4 minutes and 43 seconds in. If I were talking to Reckful, if I were his therapist, or if I were trying to be his fake therapist, where I'm at with him is that Reckful has a lot of trouble expressing anger. He's a people pleaser, he's nice, he's anxious, and I would probably assume that at some point I need Reckful to get mad at me. I need to let him get mad at me.
Okay. Email me in 1 month, maybe, and you'll get unbanned. I don't understand where. I don't know if it's like Mr. Girl that brings out like these types of people, or if there's just like some. No, it's not just him, because it happens sometimes with political companies too. You guys will just say shit like, "Oh, I don't think this is what they meant." I just go somewhere else. Go watch another streamer. I don't know why I just had to waste time re-listening to exactly what I just heard and repeat it verbatim. But okay.
Maybe even make him mad at me, and then I need to show him that it's okay for him to be mad at me. It's okay for him to be so mad that he hangs up on me. He tells me, "Fuck you, I never want to see you again." And then the next week at our next scheduled session, I am still there. That is my impression. Based on the little I've seen of Dr. K so far, just I think one full session with Melina and some short clips, I do not think that he is going to allow that. I don't think he's going to let anyone get mad at him. Also based on the reaction of his fans, that I said I was upset with.
The idea of making somebody get mad at you or figuring out that you need to do that also in the first session as a therapist, I guess I'm curious which therapist he's talked to, but this is probably one of the more challenging aspects of being a therapist. My guess is that if you get clients mad at you that quickly or in a first session, a lot of them probably would just never come back. I would be surprised if you have very many clients for very long. They'd probably just leave.
Them, and there's no sense of like, oh well, yeah, of course he welcomes negative feedback and negative emotions. You can be mad at Dr. K. That's a totally natural response. I don't get that. I get
people pleaser and expressing anger are Max's own demons. He's projecting hard. Yeah, I'm not trying to say he's projecting, but it feels a little bit like it. But maybe not. I haven't seen enough of Max to be like, oh, this is definitely projection. But
almost freakish defensiveness and protectiveness. Well, I am mad. And yeah, so I guess we'll see where he goes with that. But the conflict avoidance, well, whatever he fucking does doesn't work. So I guess I have obviously that bias. Yeah, that's what I would be doing.
Okay. Yeah, so let's talk about thought loops for a second. So the first thing to understand is that it's a repetitive pattern of thinking that sort of leads you to the same place every time, but then you take the ski lift back to the top of the mountain and then you just go back down it again.
Yes.
Right? So like this is important to understand because your mind thinks that it's doing productive.
Do you think there's a world where Dr. K stays Reckful? Well, here's another issue too that you have to keep in mind. It might be that Dr. K's therapy was actually really good for Reckful. It might have been that Reckful would have committed suicide in a week. You know, maybe Dr. K put that off for some number of months. or a year. I don't know how long they were targeting. That could be the case. We don't know, but it's a little bit. You can't really say like Dr. K failed because we don't know what another world would have looked like. There might have been one where Redfall killed himself way sooner. It's kind of hard to say.
Thinking, but it's not doing productive thinking. It's just thinking the same shit over and over again. So I kind of think about thought loops like chewing gum. Like they're working, but there's no nutrition. There's no actual resolution and there's no benefit. You're just chewing the same shit over and over and over again.
Okay.
The other thing is, in your case, like I would imagine that your thought loops are focused on yourself, right? They're about you.
My thought loops are...
Okay, he doesn't know what thought loop he's talking about. I don't even... Telling someone within 5 minutes of meeting them, 5.5 minutes of meeting them, that you can intuit what their thought loops are about, and that their thought loops, because they called them thought loops, you therefore know that they're not productive or that there's no point. It almost sounds like he's saying there's no point in even discussing what the thought loops are.
I agree that assuming the thought loops are about Wreckful is probably not good, but but I mean, like, hasn't Mr. Girl like assumed that Wreckful is a people pleaser and needs him to be made to be angry? It seems like he's making a lot of the same
Bergson's
assumptions.
hair stood on
I'd say
end,
Dr. K's
and
priming
the
here is probably not
ominous
very good. You should probably
sounds of
ask
the
instead.
unholy ritual,
But,
whatever it was, could not be a happy
Wreckful
affair.
already, again, strikes me as extremely compartmentalized. So telling him that some of his thoughts don't matter, or are not real, or are not productive, or
a new challenger appeared.
Aren't generally productive. I don't know of a single person ever in my entire life who's ever described a thought loop as a productive thing, or anybody that enjoys like thought loops by definition are like ruminating
Making mistakes
unproductive
was
thoughts.
part
I
of
don't know.
learning.
Maybe there's
matter
another
how
type of thought loop that
talented
I
you
might be
are.
unfamiliar with. I've never heard of it. If that is the case.
Lucy was feeling disheartened. Once more, she had
Do I just
better
need to keep
mastery
coming
of
back and
fire
looking
this
for
time.
the monastery people?
But wait, disaster was
but
about to
like
happen.
isolated and not connected to anything. Just seems like he's reinforcing.
Thankfully, her father
reinforcing the
intervened
belief
in
that
time.
some of his thoughts are not his, and then connected to that is the idea that some of his feelings are not his, and that this like alienness that he feels
Everybody
inside
was
him.
worried about
that he's
Aeneada's
right to feel that.
stone
Basically,
sentinel that they would probably have to
there
face
doesn't
on their
seem
quest.
to be any plan
Can
to
fire
try to
even
connect
harm stone?
Wreckful
Lucy
to
asked
himself.
intently.
I'm gonna start calling
Kevin
him
was
by
having
him.
similar thoughts
Are
about
about
the alloy
me.
Uncle Ben had
I have to
used
think
to
about it if
forge
it's
his
true.
daggers.
It was a lot.
So what are the thought loops I have?
Yeah, so let's start there.
Usually they have to do with leading back to everything has no purpose, something like that, I think.
Okay.
But then at the same time, even when I'm happy, I don't mind the thought that everything has no purpose. So that's a strange. It seems contradictory.
It's
You know,
it's
so
not.
It's not. Okay. Tell me
It
why.
does seem contradictory.
Dizzy,
Okay.
nauseated,
Because this is
feverish.
so let me ask you. Okay,
The
well, now we're gonna
Bergson's
get weird.
mind
Do you believe that
unsettled
life,
from the
what do you think
incremental
of-
rise of the
What's your
corruption.
sense of like what life
No
is?
longer were even they immune to its ill effects.
I'm an organism that came to be from two other organisms who liked each other enough to
Have a
have a
child.
baby. Yeah.
And is that is that all you are? You're just a biological organism?
And I have consciousness, which we can't really explain, the hard problem.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, so
And
what does that mean? Like, what do you think about your life? Like, do you feel like your life has purpose?
Most of the time, no, but recently I've started to think yes, because I realize I can start trying to help other people who have had my same problems, so I relate to them. And then I hope by making this game I'm working on that they can find friendship and a sense of community. Because I'm making an MMO, like a really, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome, man.
Things I wanted as a kid. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna just dive into Sanskrit for a second, okay? So Sanskrit,
Okay, so we're 7 minutes in, and he's already telling him, by implication, are you just a biological organism? Is that all you are? And basically implying that he is going to use spirituality to give Byron a sense of purpose in his life, even though he just said he is not a spiritual person. So again,
I don't know if he said he's gonna give him a sense of purpose,
I have major
but
problems with this.
Jeez.
He's drowning in depression, and you're offering him a oar to grab onto, and except he has the motivation to try to please you and make you feel like you did a good job. He's also very aware of the audience, and he wants to please them as well. And so you're going to tell him some shit about your spirituality, and he is going to say it makes a lot of sense and that it's helpful, but probably throw up some signs of resistance or
One held a gift.
hesitance.
Two hid ferocious creatures. It was the lady or the tiger for the Bergson.
And you're gonna roll right over it.
The yogis, like back in ancient India, like thousands of years ago, basically started to believe that the world was false. And the reason that they started to believe the world was false is because they sort of understood that like the sense organs can be falsified, so either through the use of hallucinogens or dreams. But ultimately, that the experience that they have within a dream is actually the same experience that you have within reality. That even though a dream can be fake or real, your experience of a dream is the same as your experience of life. Like, you can feel suffering, you can feel joy, you can feel hope, you can feel sorrow, abject terror. And so what they realized is that, like, ultimately the foundation of reality is actually consciousness. And that the foundation of reality is experience, and that the external world is false.
Yeah, I've listened to The Case Against Reality. Maybe you've heard that. Dan Hoffman, I think?
I haven't heard that one in particular, but there's a lot of stuff from quantum mechanics that supports this. I don't know if Dan Hoffman...
telling a depressed person who's, again, has a history of suicide in the family, who has not been able to be prescribed antidepressants. You are a doctor, you've already discussed medication, you have now known him for 8 minutes and 43 seconds, and you are saying the sentence, the external world is false. It's it's amazing how much more at this point Byron knows about you than you know about him.
This feels like such a stretch. I'm trying to think of how irresponsible I want my statements to be. Because I could make a lot of assumptions about Max at this point. Or I could make a lot of assumptions. I think, here's something I'll say, like, generally. When people are super depressed and they feel, if that's moving them in a direction of suicidality, I don't necessarily think that, like, hearing some piece of logic is going to be like, oh, that's like the key that I needed and now I can kill myself. I think that these are way more deeply rooted, emotional beliefs, emotionally grounded things than like intellectually grounded things. To prepare for this conversation, I actually watched Rexful's last stream the other day, and last night. And something that I think is very hard to understand is it feels like when you're mentally well adjusted, good experiences are fun experiences because you have fun, and then afterwards you're like, that was fun. If you go and so for instance, if you're like a normally mentally well adjusted person, if you go and you hang out with your friends, that's usually an elevated experience. And then there's kind of this like come down of a high afterwards. When you go home, you're like, today was a really good day. I hung out with my friends, we had a lot of fun, I'm gonna go to sleep, and that's awesome. I get this feeling, partially based on my personal conversation with Byron, which might be cheating, but even watching his stream for the last day before he killed himself, and then I get this feeling in general with people with depression. When you are having fun, it doesn't really feel as much like you're having fun. It's like a distraction from your normal state of being that is empty and hollow. So when you are, how would I describe this? I want to use drug analogies, but you guys haven't done all the drugs. There are good come downs from being high, where you're like, that was super fun, and now I'm coming down. Mushrooms or LSD, I would describe this, like, that was cool. And then there are bad come downs from being high. I would say probably like opiates, MDMA for sure, things like heroin, right? Where as soon as you lose it, you're like, oh no, I'm going back to like this horrible thing. So what happens is when you are like a super mentally fucked person, you're not actually, or it doesn't necessarily feel like you're out having fun. It feels like you're distracting yourself from your ordinary existence. And that kind of like thought can follow you through to everything. And when I look at like Reckful's last day of talking to people, I think he was saying like, all right guys, like I'm gonna go offline and then I'm gonna, try to find something to watch and fall asleep. I don't know, I could be hearing this maybe, or I could be like totally inventing this. I acknowledge it. But when I hear him talk, it almost sounds not bittersweet, but like sad that he knows that like the distraction that I just had is leaving me, and I know that when I turn my stream off and I try to find something, like that empty, hollow feeling is going to come back, and now I'm back there again. And that's what my whole life is, unless I can distract myself with some fun thoughts otherwise. So that's the lens through which I view people that have like depression or things like GAD or whatever. This is like the daily experience. It's not like this intellectual justification for like, man, if there's no external world, I can kill myself. It's a way more deeply rooted emotional feeling than just like an intellectual kind of thing, I would say. If I was to be critical of anything for Dr. K in this conversation, the 8 minutes that I've listened to so far, if I was talking to somebody and I was trying to get to the root of like, like what Reckful's talking about, if I say like, tell me about yourself, like where's your place in the world, and I was to get an answer like Reckful is hyper autistic. More autistic than I am, but we were similarly autistic, because I might give an answer like that. No, I wouldn't, because I'm not that autistic. Where it's like, what do you see yourself? What's your purpose in life? He's like, well, 2 people created me, blah 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 blah. And it's like, no. I don't give a fuck about that. Tell me, what do you feel like your purpose in life is? And he kind of got to it at the end. Well, I want to make a game that other people like, because I feel like I'm kind of helping other people. I think that on another aside, I think that when you're mentally ill, I think that one of the best feelings in the world, this is true of non-mentally ill people, is people really, really, really like to be understood. And one of the biggest problems with mental illness is you really don't have anybody that understands you, because people think you're sad, and you're not sad. Being sad or depressed for a reason is fucking awesome. Like, if I can say, like, I'm sad because my dog died, that's cool. I know what made me sad, and eventually, those conditions will be ameliorated. And then you're gone. You're not sad anymore. It's much, much, much worse to be sad for no reason, because now you're just sad, and that's like your default state of mind, and there's not even a reason behind it. You just are. It's your state. It's your default state of being. So I feel like, circling back on the Dr. K conversation, when Reckful says that he likes to like make other people feel good because of his problems, I think he's looking on it to some extent for other people to understand the things that he feels. Number one, and then number two, I think Dr. K should be having a more emotional conversation. Don't intellectualize this. When I ask you about who you are, I don't care about your like intellectual view of like existence. I don't care about the hard problem of consciousness or any of that. Like, talk to me about like, what do you feel? I think that would be my primary criticism of Dr. K here. But there might be a variety of reasons why he's not going into that type of conversation. I can't truly know. But okay, Jesus. Oof. Okay.
Talks about that.
Destiny making way too many generalizations right now. Sometimes I make a lot of generalizations that are hasty. If I do, I'll tell you, none of the generalizations that I just made were hasty, and all of them are extremely true. If you don't know that, it's just because you haven't gotten old enough to learn it yet. I will tell you, this is just a factual statement. If you don't agree with me, you're wrong, and eventually you'll learn it, or you'll always be a shitty person, and you'll never learn it. People love to be understood.
Lay in ruin.
Everybody
Serene
loves
prayers had fallen on deaf ears,
I feel like I
leaving a voyage of hope.
Anybody, like, it's one of the reasons why when we watch people go into interrogation rooms, I've said this a lot, JCS and other people don't never point this out, or they don't pick up on it. I think that one of the reasons why, when you get a lot of these lunatics in interrogation rooms, why they talk so much is because it's probably for the first time in their life, they're sitting across the table from somebody that actually super cares about everything they have to say. And I really get that feeling when I watch, like, it was that incel shooter, it was a couple other the big conspiracy people, where you got a guy like, yeah, man, tell me, like, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that, or why do you think women do this, or why do you think Elliot Rodgers said that, or whatever. And I think that they actually genuinely get this feeling of like, holy shit, for the first time in my life, because a lot of these people are loners, a lot of these people don't have friends or family that listen to them or understand them. They're actually getting a person that is talking to you, trying to understand how you feel. It is one of the best feelings in the world, is having somebody that feels like they're genuinely trying to understand you. And mental illness is unfortunately a qualia, a feeling, a sensation that if you haven't experienced it firsthand, it's very, 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 very hard for you to relate to another person's feelings. And I would say, now this is a generalization that might not be true. I'll say this is a generalization that might be true. But I would go on to argue that one of the worst parts about mental illness isn't all of the ordinary horrible feelings that go along with mental illness. One of the worst parts is that you actually genuinely feel cut off from a lot of humanity because people don't understand what you're experiencing. They don't understand what you feel. I would describe it as like you're literally at the bottom of a pit watching people walk by above you and you have no access to them and they have no access to you. That they genuinely do not understand your experience. And that feeling, irrespective of every other bad feeling you have, is on its own a very, very, very horrible feeling that nobody actually understands. When you say like, I'm depressed,
Is he lost?
they're hearing like, I'm sad because of something. Or when you say like, I have
Lost in the
anxiety,
study of
you know,
the
they
walls
might quote
and
to you like,
oblivious to her
Alan
surroundings.
Watts says so many stupid things. He's like, oh, well, anxiety is when you worry about not worrying. Anxiety is when you worry for no reason at all. Well, kind of, but that's not true. Anxiety is my body has the
She always
physiological
had time
response
for
of like
her
feeling
children,
anxious. I have no
but it was
fucking idea why.
best
It's not
to
even because I'm
leave
not worrying about
grandma
anything. It's just
to
like
her
I wake up
pursuits
and like
now.
my heart feels like it's pounding in my chest. I don't even know why, right? That's anxiety. It's not like this like, oh, well, I'm worrying because I'm not worrying about it, blah, blah. No, that's bullshit. That sounds like some shit somebody's saying that has never had anxiety before. But yeah, I think that lack of understanding is a really big issue that people with mental illness especially have. I am generalizing here. I think so. But I think people in general also like love to be understood. But okay.
All 8 eyes studied
but
the one
a
so
good
willing.
example of like understanding this from a quantum mechanics perspective, which there's an argument against what I'm about to say, which I'm happy to go into if people are interested. But basically that reality exists as a probability, and it's the act of observation that causes a probability to collapse into a reality, which is sort of a weird, complicated thing to say. But
say it one more time.
So that reality actually exists as a probability, like reality is not static, in that the act of observation causes a probability to collapse into a reality.
God, I hate the misciting of like the uncertainty principle and everything having to do with quantum waveforms and the many worlds that, well, it's actually when we make, I just wish that nobody would ever talk about quantum physics. Okay, I'm sorry. But anyway, go ahead.
So that
Okay.
like the world exists as a probability waveform, and when you
Okay. So now you're getting into some like uncertainty principle shit about quantum mechanics. Right after this guy told you his life has no meaning, and so you're doing this thing where when he's sad,
Lucy was
you are
trying to
telling him to
convince
switch
Grandma
into
that she
this
could face the
extremely
corruption on her
abstracted,
own,
literally
despite having
mathematical
doubts
lens through
herself.
which to look at reality, so that essentially
She
nothing
might
matters.
be able to persuade
And,
Margaret, but Mary
his
was another
feelings
story.
about his life are now unanchored and make no
Grandma
sense.
would say,
and,
"Trust
I mean,
the
I see people do
children
this all the
and
time.
convince
I
Mary."
just don't.
But Lucy
it's
knew
like a
that her mother
schizo
would still
rant
worry.
to teach him how to escape his thoughts. And this is already a guy who cannot sit with himself. Who you can tell just by looking at him, he feels guilty for having bad feelings. And now you're telling him how to basically eject out of his own brain.
He makes so many big reads on people
to
without
hyper-intellectualize them, so
Jesus.
that he does not feel them, and in this case, so that he can please you by not feeling them.
you observe something, that probability disappears and it becomes a reality.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
most
I mean,
famous-
I've read some quantum mechanics stuff like Sean Carroll or whatever.
Yeah, so like Schrodinger's cat, I think, is the best example of this. But then there was
Yeah.
this experiment called the double slit experiment, which actually proved that observation.
That one's
creates-
really weird.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay, fuck. I always look this up so I don't get this wrong. I don't think that observation. It's not that Okay. Here's what people think, okay? People think that observation changes reality. And what that means is that when a conscious observer watches something, reality is actually changing. But I'm pretty sure all it states is that you can't know the position and velocity of a particular thing at any point in time because, like, by shooting a photon at it, you're necessarily changing one of these properties, right? That's all it means, no? Am I incorrect on that? Or people seem to take it as meaning that, like, human conscious observers are changing reality, and they make it way, way, way more spiritual than it is. That's not actually. It's just saying you can't know the position and velocity of a particle at the same time. You can't know both of those things at the same time. It's impossible. Because like the process of observing something, of shooting photons and stuff, will change like the outcome of one of those things. But people make this very spiritual, which is kind of annoying. But whatever.
What do you remember about it?
Double slit experiment. Okay, they shoot electrons through the 2 slits. If they look at the electrons, they show up on the other side as like in a certain pattern, and if they don't look at it, they show up in a different pattern.
Yeah,
Something
exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
So they show up as an interference pattern if you don't look at which of the slits the photon goes through. Right? So it's like the bands of light and dark. And then if you observe which slit the photon goes through, then the pattern on the other side disappears. So literally, like, what you see depends on where you look. Like, if I'm looking at
bizarre.
the slit...
Okay, but I think that has to do with shooting photons at things, right? Or it has to do with like you're changing a system by measuring it. It's not just like, because this is always presented as like a human consciousness will alter that. You don't even need a human looking at this, right? You can make the observations with a machine and it would change. This doesn't need a human being to look at it. People, I just don't think you should ever talk about.
The time had come at last. She
Or always
could
mention it
finally
because you can make it whatever you want it to
real
be.
enemies,
but
afraid but excited.
Then I only see
Younger
one
daughter
point of
the
light, and if I'm
Bergsons
not looking at the
wondered if she
slit,
would
then I actually
pass
see
this
an interference
test.
pattern. Right?
Yeah, it's
Crazy.
bizarre. So what's your interpretation of it?
That consciousness creates reality. It's what the yogis have been saying for thousands of years.
This is so wrong, but
that the act
it's
of
okay, whatever.
observation, that our consciousness has creative power. Now, the interesting thing is that if you...
I've never heard that. It's so disappointing. It's like the first most like misquoted thing relating to quantum mechanics. The second most misquoted thing has to do with the concept of entanglement, where entanglement basically means if you have 2 particles that are quote unquote entangled, even if you separate them at an infinite point, by measuring one, you can get information about the other instantly. But when people hear that, they think, oh my God, information travels faster than light. But no, once you've measured it, you've changed it. You can't change one to change the other. That's not what entangled means. Entangled doesn't mean across infinite distances. It just means that it's like if you measure the spin of one, you'll know at that point in time what the spin of the other is. These are like it's this, and then there's one other thing. Everybody always takes these quantum mechanics concepts and they like make them to mean like either spiritual things or like super science things, and it's not. That's not what they mean. But whatever. If it lets people explore fun philosophical concepts, I guess they can. But just anytime somebody brings up QM, just always be wary, okay? Just be wary, okay?
So now we get to Sanskrit, and this is kind of a real roundabout way of getting to this idea. So the yogis actually came up with 2 words for reality. One is Maya. Maya means illusion. And the other is Leela. And Leela means play. And so interestingly enough, both of these sort of imply a falseness to the universe. But I think what's happening is, on some sense, you've had an experience either through psilocybin or other things, and I suspect other things, and we'll get to that later, that has given you a sense that something about the...
It does mean infinite distance. Yeah, hold on, wait. All I'm saying is that somebody in chat made a really good analogy, okay? If I give you a box of shoes, but I take one shoe out, we can go across the universe, and you can open a box, and you can instantaneously know if I took the left shoe or the right shoe. You can know that, because now you've, like, actually observed the system. But you can't... There's no way to transfer information back to me. You can't change the direction. Like, as soon as you've made the observation, you've gotten that piece of information, and now you're done. That's it. That's all you can do, is you can make a single observation. I don't remember for entanglement, I think this had to do with the spin of a particle or whatever, and then you can tell the spin of the entangled particle once they've been separated. But you can't transfer information back and forth, is all I'm saying. We're done talking about this. Okay.
The world is not real. And what happens is when
I have had it many times, yeah.
When you're happy, yeah, we'll get to that. When you're happy,
and
you can exist in a Leela.
Okay, we're now 11 and a half minutes in, and you are telling Byron that a lot of things. One, you're teaching him Sanskrit words, which there's no reason for him to know those words, or that he would. And it's almost like a hypnotist technique, where you're giving him the sense that, like, you're teaching him, you're explaining things.
I did
you're
it,
like
said
the
Lucy
guide
when
of
she
the
met Grandma.
conversation. And like, I can understand why you should be
proud
guiding it.
smile signaled
but,
the end of Lucy's training. She now had to return
You have known him
home
for
to
11
tell
and a
her
half
mother,
minutes, and it's
and
like
hopefully
you're
put some of her worries to
you know
rest.
more about him than he does. You know more about his life than he does, and you're going to explain his life to him. And he has literally told you, I think, essentially nothing at this point. And it just seems like a pre-made speech or a pre-written speech
Okay,
that you
fuck,
just...
hold on. I'm serious. This is the last comment I'm making this, then we're done. Destiny, this is a key question of philosophy, science, and quantum mechanics, blah, blah, blah. It has nothing in quantum physics talks about a conscious observer. That is exclusively a science fiction concept. We're done talking about this, okay? There has never been anything that I've ever heard of. I'll say that because I'm not a fucking physicist, okay? But there's never anything that I've heard of in quantum physics that, like, when a conscious observer observes something, that's not the case. Observation usually just means, like, adding energy to a system to pull some piece of information out of it, right? That is generally the case. It's way, way, way more boring than when a conscious observer watches something, the universe changes to accommodate that observer. That's, yeah, okay. Stop! I'm done talking about this. Okay. Okay.
Giving to him whatever one he triggered, as if it is a video game.
State, which is like it's no big deal.
A
that the
table
world isn't
fit for the
It's play.
gods,
Like,
but
let's
a
just have a
game
good time. It's
made
actually
for
just like a video game.
mortals.
Like,
a
just because a
hand was to be placed
yeah,
upon
and
the
just because a
pedestal,
video game
and their
isn't real
best
doesn't mean
was
that
to
we
be
can't
given.
enjoy it, right? In fact, quite the opposite. That's actually a big problem for most of my audience.
Yeah, you don't need to know. You don't need to know how the game works even to enjoy playing it. You don't. We always are trying to figure out how life works.
Now we have to be careful because even though you can appreciate Leela, which is play, and you can appreciate that nothing in the world is real. When your depression acts up, and I want you to understand that depression is like a pattern of thinking within your mind, it takes the things that you know and distorts them. So it takes the fact, it hijacks this idea that you know that the world is like not a real place in some sense. And then it sort of makes you feel like there's no purpose because nothing is real. But that's an understanding that doesn't actually mean like anything bad. It's just, that's what the depression does. The depression hijacks your thinking and takes the things that you know and spins them in a particular way that like actually makes you suffer.
Yes, but then I was also saying that even when I'm happy and even if I thought reality was an illusion, I could still be happy at those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, but those are...
I feel like in this case, and now I don't know, so I'm gonna make a couple of very strong generalizations here. Warning, this might all be bullshit, and I fully admit that, okay? Okay, hold on, I'm not getting triggered. This might be bullshit. I implore you, proceed cautiously. I'm telling you, okay? I think it is very, 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 very hard, maybe bordering on the impossible, to understand mental illness without having experienced it yourself. And I've kind of wondered personally, I don't think I would ever say this has to be the case, but I've wondered if you can ever even actually truly treat somebody or talk to somebody with mental illness if you haven't experienced it yourself. And the only reason I say that is because I get worried sometimes that if you don't have a mental illness, it might be possible that you're intellectualizing too much, and you might even try to trick the other person into being able to intellectualize it. Like, the conversation that's happening with Byron right now is a very intellectual one. I don't think you can intellectualize your emotions. I don't think you can think your way through it. It's not like that. Or like, if you can think your way through it, it's in a very, very, very roundabout way of like thinking to change habits, to change lifestyles that will inevitably go back to change how you feel about things. But it's in a very like CBT, very circular, triangular technically way. You can't just like think like, oh, I have a new perspective on my depression now. Like, oh, okay, this is cool. I understand this better. Like, I'm gonna not be as miserable anymore. I think that I would argue, from my bullshit perspective, I would argue that that's probably not the best way to go about it, because I don't think people intellectualize themselves into these like mental illness states. So I don't think you can intellectualize your way out of it. But
it's because when you're able to step outside of depression, when you're able to step outside of yourself, you can appreciate that like life can be happy and joyous even though it isn't real. But when your depression kicks in, you become nihilistic. So
I don't understand. If life isn't real, then what is real? Isn't realness just relative? So also, I don't understand telling someone that that life isn't real. I can understand telling someone that you believe life isn't real 13 minutes after you meet them, maybe. but I can't understand telling someone that life objectively isn't real. It just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Nihilism is this idea that like life has no purpose and no meaning, so we might as well fuck around, which actually isn't the case. So first, Rekful, why don't you tell me a little bit about what happens in your mind? Any questions about this?
No, that I followed. I mean, okay.
Any questions about what the meaning of life? You're extraordinarily arrogant. Also, he seems to have thought about this stuff just as much as you have, and I don't think he sees things the same way. As you said, you asked him what life is. You asked him to define life, and he said, "I'm an organism created by two other organisms. So there's me, and my parents loved each other enough to make me." That's what he said, or liked each other enough. And you now just talk for 5 minutes, and then you're like, any questions about the new meaning of life that I just told you about? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It does follow that what we see as reality is not base reality for sure, because if you think how a different animal, let's say we look at an ant, they're not going to perceive reality anything similarly to how we do. They perceive reality in a way that helps them survive, and we perceive reality in a way that helps us survive. Right,
and
like let's
now
say we have
the
to
fire
notice
child was ready.
Lion running at us or whatever, and we have to notice motion more than other things, or like back in the day. And the people who actually saw too many things or saw base reality wouldn't.
So like this is all true, but Rekful is talking about like these are like very high level concepts, or not high level, but like these are very far removed from like concepts of mental illness.
Margaret knew full well
the idea of like our senses supposed to report reality to us. These are like interesting questions, but I don't think this is an appropriate conversation like the corruption. Like I don't think we're talking about it at all. This is like a philosophy conversation now. So it seems a little weird to be in this area, but I mean like they're not like none of this is like wrong. It just I don't know what relevance this has to like Byron's like mental states, but I'm never gonna find another 100% person. Is he not just explaining different perspectives of life, engaging what he describes himself to? Yeah, this could just be also this could be his way of just trying to gain a feel of like what Byron believes. So he's just having the conversation, seeing what kind of answers he gets before he like dives in deeper too, which would probably be okay because you're meeting him at a level that he's comfortable talking at. Like obviously he enjoys the conversation, he's thought about it before. You're giving him maybe a different way to think of things. Maybe it's just a way to gauge all of that, to have like a more casual conversation before getting like deeper into things, you know.
Survived, you know, if the natural selection would favor people who just see certain things more, like the threats.
So now that segues into an important point, which is that
you're not listening to him at all. You're just looking at.
Do people not intellectualize themselves into depression? I would say no. I feel like the mental process is significantly different than being sad or thinking that you're sad. Something that's hard to explain is that it feels like in all the normal human emotions, there's like a circle of like, these are like the things that people normally feel. Like, so it can be anger, it can be sadness, it can be happiness, it can be orgasms, it can be excitedness, whatever. Like these are all the things. But like for people that are mentally ill, there's like this further level of things that don't feel like anything else that you've ever felt before. I would put like depression as one of these things. Like, if I were to ask you, or if I were to, well, there are some people that if I were to ask, what does depression feel like, they could tell me. But I think if I were to ask a person that's truly depressed, like, what does depression feel like? You can try to reach for words like, well, it kind of feels hollow, it kind of feels empty, but it's not really any of those things. It's a way type of all-encompassing different feeling that becomes like the foundation of all of your other thoughts in a way that just feeling sad isn't. Like, feeling sad is like a thing up here that I can change, but like being depressed is a thing down here that every single thought I have in my mind is already like tainted by that before I even have those thoughts. Like some of these feelings of mental illness are way more all-encompassing than like I've had an experience and this is my emotional reaction, or I've thought about a thing and now this is how I feel about it. It's a much deeper, it's a much deeper, more foundational experience that I wouldn't even call a thought. Yeah.
Your fucking chat while he's talking about his views on like evolution and reality, how we perceive reality different from animals. You're just not listening at all.
Mind is designed to survive. It's not actually designed to protect you from suffering.
Yes.
Okay. So this is one of the most simple things that like I think a lot of people, I mean, I disagree with a lot of my colleagues in the sense that my impression of a lot of mental illness is that it's actually functional, useful mechanisms of our mind
Four
that
steps were to be taken
that are kind of
correct
out
order.
of whack or haywire. So anxiety is a good example of our mind's ability. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, because I was
Why?
just saying on my stream earlier today that anxiety actually could get passed on as a trait from natural selection, because it could help. Let's say you're always worried someone's going to kill you. You could have 1,000 years ago survived because of that, and then
Absolutely.
that trait could pass on. Yeah.
So let's just tap into just for 1 second what anxiety is. And I've talked a lot about anxiety. So we're going to talk more about depression today. But what I understand anxiety to be is that anxiety is simply your mind's ability to look into the future and predict problems. That's all it is. Okay. It's just the future predicting capability.
So I don't know how he means this. Maybe he's gonna get into this, but I have to go. We're gonna do this conversation. Oh, fuck, I didn't get to watch this. I hope they don't bring this conversation up too much. I don't know what Dr. K's. And you, honest to God, you should probably just believe him over me. I'll give that forewarning. You should probably just believe him over anything I say. I don't like the describing of anxiety in the mental illness sense.
I need
in the
your
same
help,
sense as
Sheila.
anxiety of like
If
the
not
nervous
for me,
breathing sense. Like
come to the
when
aid
I'm
of the
anxious for
family,
like a school
for
test,
Mary and her
I
children.
have an exact
And so
thing that I know why I'm
letter
anxious about it.
ended.
Or if I'm about to go on a scary roller coaster, right? I am anxious. My physiology and all of it is elevated. Cortisol, blood pressure,
doubts
or not blood pressure,
showing
pulse,
he
everything is elevated
contemplated
because
his
there's a specific
relationship with the
thing that I'm
warrior,
having anxiety
the
about, and I
emotional
know
and
that. And I might even have a
single-minded
lot of
Sheila.
anxiety
Why
in
had
the
they
long term
ended?
because of like I've got a lot of tests, I've got a lot of things coming up.
The
Sure, and I know
question
that, okay?
Still
But
unanswered.
I think that is fundamentally different. That is such a different experience than you wake up, the sun is shining, you don't really have anything to worry about, but it feels like there's just like an elephant standing on your chest and you have no idea why. You have no idea. You don't have any problems. Nothing is really going on that's bad. You don't have anything to look forward to that's going on. Like everything should be fine. But there's just like there's like something like sitting on your chest. And that kind of anxiety, I think, I hate, this is always one of my biggest like criticisms of psychology. I hate that they use the same words because I feel like that kind of anxiety has nothing to do with like the anxious fight or flight feeling you get about being scared of like a scary roller coaster ride or being scared that you have like a big test coming up in school. It is like it's like a fundamentally different thing. That isn't even like, I guess they're kind of related in that like maybe you have like a sort of similarish feeling in the body, but it's so different in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. Fuck, I have to hop on and have this conversation, I think. How do you know about this stuff? You explain yourself. I did a lot of drugs when I was 30. I've never had mental health issues until I did a lot of drugs. And then in the year afterwards, I had some issues related to some things. I think I got some interesting perspective at it, which I guess is kind of helpful. But it changed I was pretty good at like saying the right words, I think, to like, because people would email me explaining experience. Oh, this is what this feels like, blah, 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 blah. But I think I have a little bit of firsthand experience with some things. And I think it's dramatically changed the way that I personally feel about these, even if the words I use are still a little bit similar. But also your mileage may vary. Maybe you have different experiences. It's all, you know. Is there a difference to you between recognizing symptoms in yourself versus diagnosing yourself?
I mean, I don't really think so. Those are basically the same process.
If you don't recognize the difference between these two things, then I don't understand why you are having or trying to have these conversations when you're ill-equipped to do so. I don't understand how you don't recognize the difference between a diagnosis of something versus recognizing symptoms. Because if you would just like...
At the end of every round, a panel of 3 judges, Katarana, Danabo, and surprise guest judge Vadim Newquest, host of Creationist Cat, will be judging your performance. If you do poorly or do not talk enough, you will be eliminated. If you do good enough, you'll stay in. I want no complaints. The odds of you winning the championship, considering the amount of people here, is 6.25%. So please enter this knowing that most likely you're a humegalol who is going to lose. If you do that, then you can't get your feelings hurt.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Look at you, Xander.
Yeah, I'm right there with Omega Y now.
Now,
Oh, is
Besides
that the
the
Xander?
other
Do I
rules,
hate
no
him?
slurs, nothing
No,
against
that's Xavier.
TOS, and
Never
no attacks based on immutable characteristics. That means no going after anybody because of their race, gender, sexual orientation, identity, or anything of that sort.
What if they're
As long as
immutably
you
stupid?
that's fine.
Is religion fine?
Religion? Oh God. Let's just pretend the question wasn't asked.
But what about if they're Jewish? Is that like religious or ethnic? Is that okay?
Okay,
or?
we're not. Okay, you know what? We're not going after religion. We're taking that off the table. Thank you very much. So, welcome to the championship. We're going to start the first round, which will be about 25 minutes before the first person is voted off and replaced. The first topic is how is Biden doing as president? How is he doing as president? Is he doing a decent job? Is he doing a bad job? I will introduce you all
Trying to
because we
get
don't
me-
have time for
trying to get me
intros.
banned.
The people on your screen right now is American Nacho on the top left. Next to him is Counterpoints. Next to them is Demon Mama. Next to them is Destiny. I, of course, am Dylan Burns TV, your luxurious host. Next to me is Sprouticus. Then it is Trihex, then Xander Hall, then Lonerbox. You can find all the information in the description of the YouTube video that will be produced afterwards. You may begin. Please remember to follow the rules, and remember, you know, always be nice. Make sugar.
I sit in this chair now, and I'm like, I can't fucking do that.
Well, we try not to, but look, when the lizard people came down and implanted the brain slugs and took over their minds, I'm kidding, by the way. But
well,
you
I
may
mean,
as well care.
that's going to be in USA Today tomorrow.
Right.
Well, I mean, I had this discussion with Twitter's lawyers in 2016 because I was suing for Charles Johnson, who has eclectic history, but against Twitter. And Twitter at that point, at least Jack Dorsey, was serious about the very same rules that Rumble's talking about now, putting in those kind of rules. Codify the existing law that will protect. There's no First Amendment protection for stalking or defamation or doxing and these things anyway that they were claiming they were worried about. And ultimately didn't go through. And the impression I got is the investors that invested, I don't think Dorsey was fully gung-ho behind all the censorship that took place. You're seeing that in his alignment with Elon Musk now. But I think for the most part, they went along Trump.
But
I mean,
you
Trump
have
winning
the,
wasn't supposed to happen.
You have the authority. Like, I can't, there's no excuse. And I look at them and I'm like,
They all capitulated to the pressure of investors. George Soros publicly said he was going to go after Facebook. I mean, this is a guy who helped sink the British pound.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia. And also, you got to understand, Elon Musk buying Twitter has started people like with the Clintons, though.
Hey guys, it's Mathel here once again with a whole video from start to finish of a character of Blade Trap. Basically kind of sped run the mapping to late game just because really still not in love with the trapping playstyle. So I absolutely love the idea of Blade Trap itself. Essentially it is a trap that is an attack, so it scales entirely off of your weapons that you are either single wielding or dual wielding. And then they spin around in a circle, and yeah, it's basically just scaled as an attack. So you need to go for attack damage, crit multi, accuracy, all that shit, and then in turn you just throw traps and they utilize your weapons damage.
Weird.
So I still really like the idea of Blade Trap, and I wanted to build around it again since the last time I played it, like a year ago or some shit, and I wanted to go ahead and do dex stacking for this character. Last time I did dagger with a whole bunch of flat, all kinds of damage, abyssal jewel stacking. So as you can see, it can get pretty screen cancery if you are using certain MTX, because it copies whatever weapons you're holding. So it's not the weapon effects, but rather the weapons themselves. So if you change your swords to look like some other type of swords, there's a chance that whatever it's spinning around will have some sort of cool trail that eventually just leads to not being able to see anything. So kind of cool stuff, but it does get a little bit old not being able to see things. And then you try and search for just the least offensive blade trap possible. And just no MTX is typically that, or something like Scourge MTX isn't too bad. Either way, so the character is a saboteur using 2 dex stacking swords, so 2 to 4 cold damage per 10 dexterity, and then I just went ahead and stacked a whole bunch of dexterity on the character. So it's basically entirely cold based, and it's just very much a trapping playstyle, which I'm not in love with. Like, you know, the delay, the stutter stepping, the throwing some traps, the waiting for things to die.
True.
So the mapping really isn't for me. I got to level 92 almost and just went, whatever. Was kind of just like speed running through maps so I could start doing some bossing. Because the bossing is where a trapper really does start to shine, and that's because you can just like preload basically all of your damage before a boss comes out a lot of the time. Though there will be bosses that, you know, basically you start against immediately, and then with the existence of uber bosses, that does mean that you can't necessarily, or multi-phase bosses, you can't necessarily preload and just kill something quickly because you have to do multiple phases, and that's where it kind of starts to fall a bit more short. So this is my first Maven attempt on this character, just seeing my damage testing, seeing how it's like. If you're unaware, there are cold dex boots now that do 2 to 4 cold damage per 10 dexterity on your boot mod, so it's like the weapon mod, but it's to, you know, it's more global, so it's to both weapons, and on top of that, it is a sentinel mod and quite a bit harder to get. So this is prior to doing those boots, so I wanted to make the entire character without those boots as just using hunter weapons and see where it takes me. And ultimately, I don't think it took me that far. Like, it can do endgame by all means, so I killed like a bunch of tier 16 map bosses, killed Maven, killed a whole bunch of shit, and then tried Uber Maven, and that's where just, for this type of shit, you need more damage if you're going to have this type of a playstyle without being truly a pretty thick character. And as you can tell, I'm kind of a thin character. Do have like sub 4k life, got like 90% evasion and the blind nodes from Saboteur and good regen and all that, but that's just still not very thick ultimately. Cap spell suppress as well, and it's not quite enough to really go toe to toe with the Uber bosses continuously. So I felt like I needed more damage to be able to do some clean Uber killing. So up until the Ubers and just regular endgame, then having no dex stack boots with this type of setup is fine, but I wanted to then push the limits and see what the dex stack boots would feel like. So after that Uber Maven that I failed, I did make the dex stack boots, so I just bought the base. Someone was selling the blue base for 7 exalts, I then just finished them off from there, and I'll go over that in a sec. And that means that I almost doubled my damage of my character.
I'm rocking a nice pair of those boots.
Just thanks to the boot mod. For about 7 or 8 exalts, we doubled our damage, and it did take me to another level, and then this is an example of Maven with the boots, and you can basically global her, and most endgame just gets pretty much global. It's still probably not going to really be enough to enjoy doing Uber fights, so I didn't even bother trying again after that. I don't think the playstyle is quite there with the semi-squishiness and not quite over-the-top DPS, so I didn't really try the Ubers, but for regular endgame content, yeah, you can blow stuff up. We did some 4-ways, did some Cirrus, Maven, Elder, you know, bunch of stuff, and it's okay. And it's okay. So I wasn't in love with it, and this is just another attempt at Blade Trap. I think doing like an Omni version would be insane, and many other things could go pretty crazy, but this time around, it was just okay, and it could kill some bosses, and it was kind of fun to put together. So can't really truly recommend it, but if you like what you see, either way, I will show you how I built the character up till now. So here's the character, currently level 91, on the way to 92, then started doing some bossing and shit. Spin my dex right round the Saboteur, and of course based around dex stacking, so 2 to 4 cold damage per 10 dexterity, and it's on some pretty slow swords because attack speed doesn't scale Blade Trap. So I just went ahead and grabbed some Harpy Rapiers, and then did some essence crafting, just shrieking essences of cold until I hit the dex mod, and then finished them off.
To get a tier 5 Fizz Taken As mod on the implicits, and that gives you 28% from your helmet. Then you can get another 15% from your body armor. This could be up to 25% if you do a synthesized body armor. I don't believe you can get it higher than that. Technically, if you go for an influence body armor with an elevated mod, you can get like 18% there. and then maybe an enchant with like a tailoring orb can take it higher, but I'm not too sure on that. I don't remember what all the enchants for tailoring orbs are. And then we have another 7% from our shield. This can optimally go all the way up to 16% if you get an 8.
21 exalts. Do not pay this much. I know I recommended buying this body armor, but I bought it for 60 chaos. There's so many other options out there. You don't have to pay this much. Stop overpaying.
60 exalts per
Half of
lord.
Exile
You're an
economy
idiot.
is,
I'm sorry,
better
you're
for
an
worse,
idiot for paying that.
very small. The population of unique items, or the volume of unique items
I wanna watch
that
this.
Yo, what is up, guys?
Yo.
Grim here, and in today's
It's
video,
Grim.
we're going to talk about the impact of patch
Grim.
3.18 on Path of Exile and the future of the game. So it's fair to say I've had an absolute blast with Sentinel this league. It's one of my favorite league mechanics of all time, and fingers crossed, at least in my opinion, I'd like to see it go core. However, there is definitely a few other things that have happened in 3.18, and they dramatically actually affect the future of the game. With POE 2 looming and the competitor D4 announcement happening, locked in for 2023, it's more important than ever to talk about the future of the game and the impact of the systems that are going in. As GGG don't like to say, but as we all know, we are the beta testers for Path of Exile 2, it's time to give some feedback. This is going to be my capstone video for the league, where I sum everything up. We're also going to talk about how my build failed but also succeeded, and the future of how I'm going to do things differently with some tips, but overall it's going to be this video as my roundup. Let's dive in and talk about it. So obviously, with Sentinel out of the way, we've talked about that enough. In my opinion, great lead mechanic, really fun, lots of experimental stuff going on there, which I think was really great. Let's talk about the core content of 3.18 though, as it's a little bit controversial. Okay, so the good. Let's talk about the good first. The Keystones, an absolute triumph. Tons of new ways to play on the Atlas, new Uber bosses, and some pretty interesting new uniques, which are getting a little bit of use here and there. Overall, I think everyone can agree that the new Keystones are at least something interesting to do and a new thing to reach for with your character. The rewards, questionable, the difficulty really high on some of these fights, specifically serious, but overall quite a lot of fun and a lot of new ways to play, whether that's with shadow shaping, singular focus, or anything along these lines. Overall, pretty damn good time. However, if you're not using the Keystones and you're having a bit of a tough time, I completely understand. The other things that happened in 3.18. First of all, a whole lot of nothing. We didn't get any new skill gems. Content of 3.18 though, as it's a little bit controversial. Okay, so the good. Let's talk about the good first. The Keystones, an absolute triumph. Tons of new ways to play on the Atlas, new Uber bosses, and some pretty interesting new uniques, which are getting a little bit of use here and there. Overall, I think everyone can agree that the new Keystones are at least something interesting to do and a new thing to reach for with your character. The rewards, questionable, the difficulty really high on some of these fights, specifically serious, but overall quite a lot of fun and a lot of new ways to play, whether that's with shadow shaping, singular focus, or anything along these lines. Overall, pretty damn good time. However, if you're not using the Keystones and you're having a bit of a tough time, I completely understand. The other things that happened in 3.18. First of all, a whole lot of nothing. We didn't get any new skill gems. We didn't get any balance changes. So overall, the meta, a lot of people feel a little bit stale, and I don't blame them. So overall, that is definitely a demerit for the league. I'd love to see this not happen again. I don't think that this worked. They asked for feedback on this, and I think balance changes need to happen. They're very important for the psychology of the league, as well as the freshness of the league. In addition to that, I'd like to see skill gems, at least something, each league, as it does add a whole lot of hype and flavor and coolness to the league. When Forbidden Right got released, that was a big defining moment of that league. So I think we definitely need to see that return, and we need to see it not go away anytime soon, because it is a big part of what people enjoy, and I can already imagine Mathla is probably a bit sad at this point in the league, at this time, without any new skills to try and any balance changes to play with. Alright. Then the next thing we obviously have is the shadow nerfs. So this league was marketed as no changes and that you could be fully confident to try out a build, and you know, all right, hell yeah, man. However, that is not the case. So we did get some nerfs. Now these nerfs aren't exactly nerfs, however they are certainly nerfs. So the first one is the accessibility of the 2 powerhouse amulets, Omniscience and Ashes of the Stars. This is a massive point of controversy for a lot of players, and these were previously budget accessible items in the 1 Exalt price range, which everyone could get their hands on and build incredibly powerful, incredibly unique, incredibly fun characters around. Stuff like Omniscience Lightning Strike, Tornado Shot, insane builds with Ashes of the Stars. My build as well also includes Ashes of the Stars, and it was a league start build. That kind of gives you an idea of how accessible these were and how much they were beloved by a lot of players. They wanted to play builds with these amulets. Well, they went from about a 20% drop rate and costing about 1 Exalt to like a 1 or 2% drop rate and costing 50 Exalts at this time. So these are no longer really accessible to the majority of the player base. They were effectively deleted for a large portion of players, and I think that's a real shame, as these amulets are incredibly awesome and a lot of fun. Now there's an argument to be made here on whether or not they would have had to be nerfed because they were so common and how powerful they were, but overall I don't think that many people were too impressed with how inaccessible the amulets were, when a lot of people were expecting to be able to play league starters and builds with these amulets at their focus. So overall, you know, okay, probably not the best there. Next up, we had the nerfs to Eldritch crafting currency and the Eldritch system overall. So these nerfs are a little bit more subtle. People don't really kind of realize until they go check the prices of some of these items and also go to use these items. So overall, the accessibility of Eldritch crafting currency as a whole over the entire game seems to have been reduced some amount. The Eldritch crafting currency is more expensive, and that in my opinion is a result of the Eldritch altar pool being watered down. So there is definitely a lower chance for you to get the Eldritch crafting currency outcome and drop all of the different reagents that you need to do Eldritch crafting. In addition to that, the actual augmenting currencies like Chaos Orb, Annulment Orb, and Exalted Orb are significantly rarer and are now mainly present on bosses as drops from them, which does also hurt the supply. Furthermore, late last league, they did alter how Eldritch Chaos Orbs worked, and they're no longer as powerful for crafting gear, and as a result, people have been having a pretty bad time with that as well. The result, reduced accessibility to power, which overall, no one likes that. No one feels that's very fun, and you know, overall, it has created a little bit of a kind of moment. So that's fine. And overall, you know, okay, it's definitely not ideal. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But then the kicker, the big sourpuss note for everyone, including myself, was Arch Nemesis. Now, people have been beating this horse to death, and it's like 10 feet under it's been beaten so much, man. This horse is just, it's too much, man. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but it's fair to say the difficulty of the game has been increased in a very bad way across the board in all facets of the game, from Act 1 all the way up to T16 juiced maps. It's harder, and a lot of people would argue less fun. Now, I don't think that the idea behind Arch Nemesis is actually a bad one, but the way that it was implemented is not that good. First of all, there's too many modifiers. 65 mods, you're kidding me, man. How is anyone going to know what they do without looking up an external resource? It's just not going to happen. They're not very descriptive, and learning them can be incredibly challenging, especially when there's 3 or 4 of them on a single mob. It's just a little bit much. And of course, the way they interact with other lead mechanics is really bad. You know, getting stuff like the metamorphs and all sorts of stuff like that. Even now, after all of the nerfs, like the quadruple nerf, it still doesn't feel good, especially if your character is not geared that well. And you know, this is a system which was marketed as a POE 2 system, and in my opinion, it's not going very well. So yeah, definitely not ideal. They need, in my opinion, to completely reduce the mod pool to a concise 30 mods which do a very specific thing, and you know, just leave it alone and make sure people actually understand the mods. Because right now, understanding exactly what any of these modifiers do, even I don't know. Any other player probably not going to have much of a chance unless they look up some external resource. It's absolutely crazy how kind of like difficult it is to kind of understand what is going on. Finally, we had an increase to the risk and reward of the game. Now, this came somewhat in part because of the keystones, obviously stuff like Wrath of the Cosmos, and also, I believe, the other keystone, increasing the difficulty of Eldritch Altars, you know, as well as the Uber bosses, but those are a little bit more self-explanatory. But increases to risk and reward. They also increase the difficulty of the Eldritch Altars just baseline. People have been setting themselves up to fail as a result of that, you know, and that is not good. So overall, what is the picture of 3.18? Well, on the high end, it's business as usual. If you've got an absolutely pimped out character and don't care about the price tag of Ashes of the Stars, it's pretty much business as usual for you. I imagine you won't be complaining and you'll be enjoying killing the new Uber bosses and trying out all the new mapping strategies. If you're not a power gamer though, and you're not putting in all the time to, you know, grind out an insane amount of exalts, it is not business as usual. You've taken a big hit to availability on a ton of things, and in addition to that, the game is way harder now, man. And in addition to that as well, you're so starved for currency to get those upgrades that you're going to be taking the risky rewards and having an even worse time. So that is the problem with 3.18. I feel like it's definitely not a step in the right direction. If we're talking POE 2 here, the main thing that we're looking at is accessibility. They stressed accessibility. A new campaign, which people are going to love and enjoy, and new graphics, awesome new customization with the skill gem system, which is far more intuitive and simple. You know, skills that make sense. And, you know, like methodical gameplay with skills that matter. These are all things that pitched for POE 2, and overall, getting one shot by a gargantuan rower in Mudflats does not seem to be aligning with that vision too much. I think that they should probably be looking to get closer and closer to POE 2 and not introducing systems which are directly offensive to new player experience, i.e. Arch Nemesis. I think overall, just from an actual design perspective, it is counterintuitive to have anything which requires external game knowledge of 65 modifiers to understand how to counter it. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about how building a character and the experience overall has changed, not only in 3.18, but as a result of the past few leaks. So we've seen obviously an increase and a focus on allowing characters to be defensive, and the offensive capabilities of monsters have gotten far, far more difficult. I covered this in a video recently, how to stop dying, but we're going to apply that knowledge now. So through all of the stuff that we've received over the last few patches, defense is the emphasis now. Building a well-rounded character